In my past life, the real heiress, Luna, fell for Ethan Coleman's looks and insisted on marrying him. She never expected to spend their marriage in a rented apartment, a union that ended in a bitter divorce after just 3 years. Meanwhile, I married the womanizing young master of the Fairchild family, Aiden, helping him claw his way back to power and enjoying a life of luxury and wealth. The day Aiden bought a luxury yacht for me, Luna pushed me into the sea. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn on the day our marriages were being arranged. This time, she was the first to speak, crying, "Dad, Mom, the one I want to marry is the Fairchild heir." But she doesn't know. Without me, that Fairchild heir is nothing. Chapter 1. "Mom, I want to marry Aiden Fairchild," as the familiar voice echoed, the suffocating feeling of drowning vanished instantly. I looked around. Luna Sterling was clinging to our adoptive mother's arm, sobbing pitifully. "I've already suffered for over 20 years. If I marry Ethan Coleman, my whole life will be ruined." Our adoptive mother looked confused. "Luna, dear, Aiden Fairchild is average-looking, a notorious womanizer, and an illegitimate son. You looked down on him before, crying and throwing tantrums to marry Ethan. Why the sudden change of heart?" Luna scoffed. "Even a fallen giant is still a giant. Besides, he might be an illegitimate son now, but who's to say the Fairchild fortune won't be his someday?" The conversation was completely different from before. A thought surfaced. Luna and I had both been reborn. In my previous life, a year after Luna was welcomed back into the Sterling family, the marriage alliances were discussed. Aiden Fairchild, the third son of the Fairchild family, had a terrible reputation. He was a notorious playboy, average-looking, and had even had a fling with one of the household staff during our adoptive father's birthday party. His behavior was appalling. Naturally, Luna wanted nothing to do with him. However, she fell for Ethan Coleman at first sight, and tearfully insisted on fulfilling the generational marriage agreement in my place. Who would have thought that after the Coleman family's fall from grace, Ethan would remain poor and emotionally distant, completely indifferent to her affections? Meanwhile, I climbed the social ladder with Aiden, helping him secure his position within the Fairchild family. Aiden's rise was meteoric, and as Mrs. Fairchild, I became the object of everyone's envy. Consumed by jealousy, Luna pushed me off a yacht into the ocean, leading to my tragic death. "Serena, what do you think?" Our adoptive mother looked at me, her intention clear. Ever since Luna returned, the only reason I, the imposter, was allowed to stay was to be married off to a good-for-nothing playboy to secure the Sterling family's status. Luna, on the other hand, was free to marry whomever she loved and live a carefree life. "Why are you asking her? She's not a real Sterling. What right does she have to marry into the Fairchild family?" Luna glared at me, her eyes filled with contempt. One marriage was to repay an old favor, the other was a tool for the family's future. In my past life, I had resisted marrying Aiden, going on a hunger strike and threatening to leave. But what was the result? My seemingly gentle adoptive mother poured a glass of hard liquor down my throat. When I woke up, the scandal of my night with Aiden was all over the city. All my resistance was futile against the Sterling family's lust for profit. They say a fallen giant is still a giant. Even though the Sterling family was in decline, dealing with an adopted daughter like me was child's play. In that case, I might as well go along with their wishes and choose Ethan. Compared to that perverted playboy with a little money, an aloof, quiet man like Ethan, who wouldn't interfere in my life, seemed like a dream come true. At that thought, I smiled faintly. I agree. Chapter 2. When I found Ethan Coleman, he was leaning against a slightly beat-up black car. He was in a deserted car yard, and in the distance, I could faintly hear the roar of race cars speeding down the main road. Ethan was on the phone. His well-proportioned hand rested casually on the hood. He wore a loose black shirt, the top buttons undone, revealing a patch of tan chest. His straight legs were encased in suit pants, and a cigarette burned between his fingers. His voice was low as he spoke. My gaze lingered. I couldn't blame Luna for overlooking Ethan's lack of money. He was leagues more attractive than Aiden Fairchild. "That's it for today." Ethan stubbed out his cigarette, his voice low and slightly raspy. In my past life, after his family's downfall, we had barely kept in touch. I'd heard he was fixing cars for some of the city's rich kids and occasionally joined them for a few races. That was all I knew. I had only found this address after hearing it mentioned by chance and searching for a long time. Noticing my presence, the man slowly turned to look at me. His hair was shorter than the last time I'd seen him. His deep-set eyes swept over me with a casual indifference, a hint of surprise in them. "What are you doing here?" His tone wasn't friendly, there was an edge of irritation to it. "Your phone was off, so I had to come find you." I looked up at him. Compared to Aiden Fairchild, who was 5'9" on a good day, Ethan stood at a solid 6'1". He was a good half-foot taller than me. "That SIM card was old. I replaced it a few days ago." Ethan held his phone, his voice deep. No wonder. As if realizing his rudeness, he added, "Sorry, I've been busy. I'll send you my new number later." He paused, looking away. "I never thought you'd look for me." He was right. In the years after high school, our interactions had become so sparse we didn't even exchange holiday greetings. In our past life's marriage, we barely spoke a word to each other for years. In most of my memories of him and Luna visiting, Ethan would be sitting alone on a bamboo chair in the courtyard, watching Luna share a happy moment with my adoptive parents. "I need to talk to you about something." My voice was calm as I watched his expression. "About the engagement," he crushed the cigarette. Ethan ushered me into the car. "We'll talk on the way." The small space was filled with a distinctly masculine scent, mixed with a hint of gardenia that I quite liked. I reached back to fumble with the seatbelt and glanced at the back seat. Suddenly, Ethan's presence filled the space in front of me. His bronze skin was beaded with sweat, just inches away. My breath caught for a second. I felt his warm breath brush past my nose before he quickly pulled away. Click. The seatbelt was fastened. The car's been modified, so the seatbelt is a bit tight. Ethan lowered his gaze and started the car. He rolled down the window, but the wind rushing and couldn't cool the heat rising on the tips of his ears. A faint blush crept up his neck. Composing myself, I spoke again. "The wedding is set." His expression remained cool and emotionless. Come to think of it, Luna had hinted countless times in our past life that although Ethan was ruggedly handsome, he had never touched her during their years of marriage. For him, marriage was probably just a task to be completed. A marriage of non-interference was the most beneficial arrangement for me. With that thought, I breathed a sigh of relief. "All right then, let's pick a day and get our license." The car screeched to a halt, stopping steadily on a deserted side road. I nearly lost my balance. Before I could snap at him, Ethan had already turned to face me. As if feeling hot, he rolled up his sleeves, revealing toned bronze arms. "Us," I nodded. Luna had been pestering Ethan relentlessly. It was obvious to anyone that the marriage was supposed to be between them. But at the last minute, the Sterling family had changed its mind. After a moment's thought, I asked uncertainly, "You're not willing?" I had assumed it wouldn't matter to him who the bride was. "No." Ethan seemed to want another cigarette, his hand instinctively reaching for his pocket before stopping. "I don't have much money," he said, Chapter 3. I know. The Coleman family had once been prominent. Due to a favor they had done for the Sterlings in the past, the two families had arranged an engagement for their children. But then the Colemans fell on hard times. Mr. and Mrs. Coleman passed away one after another, leaving Ethan alone. After graduating from college, Ethan faced constant setbacks until a friend recommended him for a job at a garage. "We'll just get the license and have a meal with your friends." My wedding in the last life was a grand affair, a beautiful facade for a miserable life, so a simple celebration was better. "Okay." The car started moving again. "Don't come to this place again in the future," Ethan said. "Add me on WhatsApp. If you need me, just message and I'll come home. This is far from the city. Your work? It's fine." Ethan's voice grew colder. "There are a lot of unlicensed cabs around here. I don't feel safe with you taking one." I nodded in agreement. The rest of the drive was silent. He didn't speak again until we reached the Sterling house. "Tomorrow, I happen to be free." I was stunned. That was a bit too fast. Ethan seemed to misunderstand. His rough fingers drummed on the steering wheel as he added, "We could go now, actually. City Hall isn't closed yet." The hot wind blew in, whipping my hair across my face. It felt sticky. In the cramped car, the man's eyes were dark as he held my gaze. "You?" I was at a loss for words. A slight smile played on Ethan's lips. "I'm afraid if we wait, things might get complicated." Chapter 4. The date was set for a week later. Ethan seemed slightly displeased but didn't say anything. When I got home, the living room was filled with all kinds of gifts. The Sterling family still had some standing in the city, so the Fairchilds naturally took the marriage alliance seriously. Seeing me return, Luna held up a massive diamond ring, a triumphant smile on her face. "How did it go with Ethan? You're still a Sterling in name, so you can't embarrass the family at your wedding. If the dowry isn't at least a couple $100,000, it'll look like you're desperate." I glanced at the diamond in her hand, feeling perfectly calm. "We're not having a wedding ceremony." "No ceremony?" Luna's smile widened. "It seems Ethan not only dislikes you but despises you, not like my Aiden. He said our wedding has to be perfect. All the major media outlets will be there. Imagine how grand it will be." In the last life, Luna had insisted on a wedding, but the ceremony was so simple that she fumed about it for a long time. Meanwhile, my wedding with Aiden was a spectacular event, the envy of everyone. But on our wedding night, Aiden's mother publicly humiliated me, throwing all my belongings into the backyard like trash. If she wanted a wedding like that, she could have it. Seeing my silence, Luna looked even more smug. "Oh, right. Since there's no dowry and no wedding, you shouldn't take the trousseau the Sterlings prepared for you. We wouldn't want people thinking our family is desperate to marry a daughter off to some poor chap." She wanted me to leave the Sterling house with nothing. When she married Ethan, she took a dowry of over $1 million to support their life. And now, she intended for me to leave with nothing? It didn't matter. I hadn't planned on taking it anyway. The Sterling family was already at the end of its rope. In a couple of years, the dowry Luna took with her would be clawed back by our adoptive parents under various pretexts. That's fine. The Fairchilds are a big family. You should take a generous dowry to bolster your position. Ethan's family is simple, so there aren't so many formalities. I wasn't angry at all, but Luna was displeased, firing off one taunt after another, not forgetting to show off how wonderful her life was. "Aiden just loves me so much. He's given me so many designer bags and jewelry, I can hardly keep up with them all." I smiled and picked up a designer bag. "This is last year's model, isn't it? You can't even buy it anymore. I wonder if it was an unsold item or a returned second-hand piece." Luna gritted her teeth in anger. "I happen to like this style. Aiden specifically bought it for me." "Well, you certainly have unique taste. Choosing a diseased, womanizing man like Aiden over the handsome Ethan. What, are you jealous of me?" Luna was no longer angry, contentedly stroking her diamond. "I'll have endless wealth and luxury in the future, while you'll have nothing but endless hardship." Wealth and luxury? If I hadn't saved the day in our past life, that useless Aiden would have been kicked out of the Fairchild family long ago. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but glance at the well-built maids in the courtyard. Aiden has always been restless. I don't know about wealth and luxury, but you'll certainly have an endless parade of mistresses to catch. Instead of wasting your time showing off to me, you'd be better off keeping a closer eye on your man. In the last life, several of those maids had been involved with Aiden. Luna glared at me. "Do you think everyone is like you, unable to hold onto a man's heart? I'm telling you, Aiden will change. He promised me I had to laugh. Could a leopard change its spots? What a joke." Chapter 5. On a sunny Tuesday, Ethan and I got our marriage license. I packed a few personal belongings and moved into his place that night. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. The building was old, the walls were peeling, and signs of age were everywhere. The master bedroom was tidy, and the bed even had cream-colored sheets, a popular choice among women. "The conditions here aren't great. I'm sorry you have to put up with this." Ethan stood at the door, his gaze fixed on me. "It's nice, I like it a lot." I smiled at him and rubbed my stomach. "Is there anything to eat? Wait here." Ethan turned and went into the kitchen. The narrow kitchen could only fit one person. I watched as he casually took off his white shirt and tossed it onto the living room sofa. His lean, tanned body was suddenly on display. His abs were well-defined, with a narrow waist and broad shoulders, exuding a unique masculine charm. I hadn't eaten well in my past life, and the sight made me feel a little flustered. But soon, Ethan put on a black shirt. His eyes met mine, a hint of a smile in them. "Can you handle spicy food today?" I shook my head. A flicker of understanding crossed his eyes before he disappeared back into the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of water. Seeing that it would be a while before dinner was ready, I leaned against the doorframe and made small talk. "What are you making?" "Sweet and sour pork ribs, not as good as my mom's, but it's close." I glanced over and sighed. "You still remember." In high school, Ethan and I were desk mates for 3 years. I loved sweet and sour pork ribs, and it just so happened to be his mother's specialty. Occasionally, when the Sterlings punished me by locking me in a dark room without food, I would shamelessly go to his house for a meal. In the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 years had passed since I'd last had them. "Yeah, my mom really liked you." The conversation ended there. My gaze drifted to his physique under the shirt. I pursed my lips and decided to be direct. "I might be very busy with work in the future. I won't be able to be a dutiful wife." "I don't mind." Ethan's expression didn't change, as calm as I expected. "I won't interfere in your life, and I don't need you to do anything for me." That was good. I breathed a sigh of relief. This way, I could focus on my own affairs. "What about your work?" "I modify cars for some rich kids from the clubs. My hours are flexible." That was close to what I had guessed in my past life. He put the lid on the pot and turned to me. "I've invested in some businesses recently, and the capital hasn't come back yet. But don't worry, I can support you." I shook my head. "You don't have to." Just because I didn't take money from the Sterlings didn't mean I hadn't earned any over the years. Besides, with the advantage of my past life, I could at least ensure a comfortable life, even if I couldn't be fabulously wealthy. Ethan grunted in acknowledgement and said no more, until it was time for bed. The bed suddenly dipped on one side. I turned around, still replying to a message, and met Ethan's deep eyes. He had just showered, his hair was still damp, and he was casually drying it while leaning against the bed. When our eyes met, he paused, a small flame flickering in his gaze. "If you'd rather not, I can sleep in the other room." "We're married," I reminded him. With such a handsome man sleeping next to me, I wasn't the one at a disadvantage. "Yeah," Ethan seemed to think of something, a slight smile gracing his lips as he repeated my words. "We're married." I soon felt drowsy. Vaguely, I thought I heard a drawer open. A warm, large hand gently took mine, and something cool was slipped onto my ring finger. "I'll buy you a bigger one someday." Chapter 7. For the next while, both Ethan and I were incredibly busy. I could still see Luna flaunting her life as a lady of leisure on her social media feed. She and Aiden had also gotten their license, but they were planning a lavish wedding, so the preparations were taking a long time. Meanwhile, I went straight to my best friend, a sales genius. 2 sentences were all it took to get her on board. "I've been reborn. Work with me and we'll make a fortune." With the foresight from my past life, I decided to start with short-form dramas and threw myself into the work. At the end of the month, for our adoptive father's birthday, I brought Ethan home with me. Luna and Aiden arrived just after us, she on the arm of the 5-foot-something Aiden, looking utterly smug. As soon as she walked in, she said in her usual arrogant tone, "Mom, why is there a beat-up old car parked in our driveway? People might think we're running a junkyard." Aiden had brought many gifts, making a grand show for our adoptive parents. On top of that, the Sterlings had landed a few decent partnerships thanks to the marriage alliance with the Fairchilds. They were all smiles when they saw Luna and Aiden and simply replied offhandedly, "Don't be silly, that's Ethan's car." No wonder, Luna's triumphant expression deepened as she smiled at me. "Serena, why don't you have Ethan move his car? Aiden's Bentley is parked right next to it, and if it gets scratched, the repair costs would be more than your combined yearly salaries." My expression hardened. I didn't care how much Luna provoked me, but bringing Ethan into it was another matter entirely. "I'm just saying, you'd be better off taking a taxi home. Driving a wreck like that just embarrasses the Sterling family. If you're short on cash, you could always ask Aiden and me for a loan. A $20,000 or $30,000 second-hand BMW would suit you two just fine." Luna was getting more and more out of line. I took a step forward, but a hand took mine. Ethan stood beside me, his tall frame and handsome features drawing attention. At that moment, his sharp eyes narrowed, and a cold, imposing aura surrounded him. "A car can't move on its own. It won't hit your low-end Bentley." That one comment immediately set off the pretentious Aiden. "Low-end? You, driving that piece of junk, have the audacity to talk to me like that? You deadbeat, do you have any idea how much my car costs? You could work your whole life and still not afford to pay for it," Ethan scoffed, his casual tone laced with pressure. It's a 2-year-old model. It's worth maybe $100,000 now at most. And I pay my insurance on time every year, so don't worry. If I hit it, I can afford to pay. Chapter 8. Aiden lost his temper. He pointed at Ethan and started shouting. What's your problem? You look down on my car, but what are you? Just a low-life mechanic. You have the nerve to act all high and mighty in front of me. Don't think you're hot stuff just because you married Serena Sterling. She's just an imposter. I wouldn't have wanted her even if she begged me to marry her. Crack. The glass in Ethan's hand shattered. His gaze was more terrifying than I had ever seen it. His dark eyes were frosted over, and he looked at Aiden as if he were looking at something already dead. He took a step forward, his superior height making him tower over the platform wearing Aiden. I didn't quite catch that. What did you say, Mr. Fairchild? Aiden was clearly intimidated by Ethan's presence, and he started to stammer. What, you want to hit me? Do you know who I am? I'm the third young master of the Fairchild family. Ethan's hand twitched slightly, and I immediately grabbed it. You should calm down too, third young master. I hear the eldest Fairchild son is coming back soon. Causing trouble now would be very inconvenient for you, wouldn't it? More importantly, I didn't want Ethan to get into a real fight with him. After all, this guy was a scoundrel with disgusting tactics. Aiden snorted. Out of respect for my in-laws, I won't bother with you two today. Our adoptive mother quickly intervened to smooth things over. That's right. You're finally home for a visit, why cause a scene? Serena, you've only been married for a short time, and you've already become so ill-mannered. Sit down and eat. I pulled Ethan to sit down beside me. His expression was still dark, and his hand tightened around mine. I'll get him back for you later. He gently squeezed my little finger, his rough, warm hand stroking it. I smiled and nodded. Okay. But I'm the type who prefers to settle my own scores. The entire meal turned into Luna's show and tell. I listened as she bragged about how wonderful her relationship with Aiden was, while subtly and not so subtly mocking my current poverty. What, you're not even taking wedding photos? Luna feigned surprise, then coyly linked her arm with Aiden's. You should have said something. When we had our photo shoot, the studio offered us a free couples session. I thought it was beneath us, so I turned it down. I would have given the opportunity to you if I'd known. Hess. I gave her a very sarcastic smile. Our marriage had been rushed, and with both Ethan and me busy with work, we hadn't even had many meals together, let alone taken wedding photos. But it's okay. I'll help you out with things like this in the future. After all, my Aiden is so rich and generous, and he's so good to me. You're still a part of the Sterling family, so it's only right that I look out for you. I put down my chopsticks and gave a non-committal reply. Aiden was indeed generous, but not just to Luna. Right now, he was still infatuated with her, and since he saw the Sterlings as having some money, he was willing to invest in the relationship. But in a little while, Aiden's generosity would no longer be directed at Luna. Chapter 9. Luna was on a roll. Mom, my Aiden might not have many skills, but he sure knows how to spoil me. Look, he's given me one expensive bracelet after another. A few days ago, when Aiden and I visited his family, his dad even gave me a car to get around in. It wasn't much, just 50 grand or so. Our adoptive mother beamed, fussing over Aiden and completely ignoring Ethan and me. Oh my, our Luna really married the right man. Aiden is so young and accomplished. Mom, Aiden and I have already decided to start trying for a baby at the end of the year. When I give the Fairchilds a healthy baby boy, there will be an heir to the family fortune. Her scheming was so obvious it was almost comical. The child of an illegitimate son had no chance of inheriting the Fairchild fortune, but the Fairchilds were a wealthy family. With a grandson, the monthly allowance would naturally increase. That was Aiden's plan, but Luna naively believed she could secure the Fairchild inheritance with a child. Just as the couple was putting on their lovey-dovey act, a commotion came from the inner hall. Is that Mr. Fairchild? Mr. Fairchild is here to see me. He's here for me. Are you crazy? Mr. Fairchild is our master's son-in-law. Keep your thoughts to yourself. The shouting drew everyone's attention. The older maid, Mrs. Liu, was desperately holding back a younger maid whose face was tear-stained and eyes were red and swollen. She looked utterly pitiful. What's all the noise about? My adoptive father barked. Mrs. Liu flinched. Seizing the opportunity, the young maid rushed in front of everyone, knelt by the coffee table, and grabbed Aiden's pant leg. Mr. Fairchild, even if you don't want to see me anymore, you can't deny the baby in my belly. What baby? Luna was stunned. The maid quickly explained, Miss, last month, you and Mr. Fairchild were drunk, and he forced himself on me. I took the pill, but I still got pregnant. Mr. Fairchild, I'm begging you, please spare me. Well. The official wife isn't even trying yet, and here's one already pregnant. The room fell silent. My gaze was cold, and I twisted the knife in Luna's wound. Mr. Fairchild truly loves Luna. He knows she values her beauty and couldn't bear to see her suffer through childbirth, so he had someone else do it for her. Aiden opened his mouth, unsure how to explain, and just blurted out, She's lying. Luna's face turned deathly pale. She shot me a venomous glare, then raised her hand. Smack, a heavy slap landed on the maid's face. Luna's expression was terrifyingly cold. Butler, a maid in the Sterling household, has gotten pregnant without permission. You know what to do, Mr. Fairchild, save me. Please save me. It was you who initiated it that night. You said Miss Sterling was boring. Say one more word, and I'll tear your mouth apart. Luna's eyes were filled with poison. The butler, understanding her silent command, dragged the maid away. Aiden's eyes darted around. I was drunk that night. She seduced me. I didn't mean for it to happen. A man who's truly drunk isn't capable of performing. It was such a pathetic excuse that everyone knew the truth without it being said. Luna wasn't some innocent girl. She knew this as well. She had planned to show off in front of us, but this scandal had left her utterly humiliated. She was grinding her teeth in frustration and was about to lash out when our adoptive mother grabbed her hand. Luna, since Aiden knows he was wrong, let's just let it go. It's normal for couples to have disagreements. Aiden immediately chimed in, I promise it will never happen again. After a great deal of coaxing, with Aiden practically begging for forgiveness, the matter was finally dropped. But after that scene, Luna couldn't hold her head up. While I was waiting for Ethan to run an errand, Luna came over, desperate to regain her sense of superiority. Aiden said he'll change. We're going to be very happy together. Oh, and I believe pigs can fly. Luna's expression faltered, then she sneered at me. No matter what, Aiden is better than that poor slob. It's been a month since you got married, and he hasn't touched you, has he? You've lived this long without ever knowing what it's like to be a woman. You're so pathetic. I frowned. You're proud of being touched by a public urinal? I found the thought of him repulsive. In my past life, I even found him mistresses just so he wouldn't touch me, terrified of catching something. What do you know? Aiden is very skilled. Much better than that impotent man, Ethan. Just as she finished speaking, I saw Ethan returning. His expression was calm, but his dark eyes were as deep as ink. Chapter 10. The ride home was silent. After my shower, I came out to find Ethan leaning casually on the sofa. The top button of his shirt was undone, revealing a sliver of his lean chest. His eyes were dark and unreadable as he glanced at me before turning his attention back to the TV. His long arm rested on the back of the sofa, and his thin lips were pressed into a firm line. Luna's just like that. Don't take it to heart. I'll try to keep you out of Sterling family matters from now on. Today was our adoptive father's birthday. I had to bring Ethan for propriety's sake. Otherwise, I wouldn't have wanted him to endure Luna's passive-aggressive comments. Can you handle spicy food today? Ethan looked at me and asked out of the blue. I nodded instinctively. All right then. The man's Adam's apple bobbed. His large, rough hand slid up my arm, and his masculine scent enveloped me. A hot, aggressive kiss landed on my lips. My mind went blank, then I suddenly realized what he meant. You don't want to? Ethan's hand froze. His breathing deepened, and the hand on my waist felt like it was on fire, hot and searing. I shook my head without thinking. I'm just a little surprised. After all, the Ethan from my past life had never touched Luna. So much so that I once thought, as if guessing my thoughts, a hot, punishing kiss landed hard on my lips. His other hand slipped under my shirt, his rough touch sending shivers down my spine. What are you thinking about? That I'm impotent. My hands were suddenly pinned above my head with ease. I looked up. Ethan's eyes burned with desire, and beads of sweat dotted his forehead. My pajamas were slowly unbuttoned. My lips and tongue were completely claimed by his. In a daze, a white light flashed before my eyes. Hot sweat dripped onto my chest, dampening the fine hairs. The sensation was sticky. The old bed creaked with our movements. At the peak of passion, I heard Ethan's deep, emotional groan. "Serena Sterling, I will give you a better life." His voice was incredibly gentle, and it struck me right in the heart. Chapter 11. We made love twice. The next day, both Ethan and I overslept. I hurriedly got dressed. He had already bought breakfast. "I have a busy day at work, so I might not be able to check my phone. Serena, if it's urgent, call me." "Okay," I nodded. A quick kiss landed on the corner of my mouth. It was a light touch, and then Ethan stood up. His dark eyes, however, burned with intensity as he looked at me. Realizing the meaning in his gaze, I quickly said, "I have work today, too." He turned and went back to the room. Creak, the sound of the wardrobe opening. I took a bite of my bun and scrolled through a video. The algorithm was surprisingly good. Ever since Ethan and I got together, most of the content it recommended was car-related. Racing, unlicensed cabs, all sorts of things. I looked at Ethan. "Is racing profitable?" "It depends." Ethan had changed into a casual black hoodie. His slightly longer hair was tousled. As he bent down to put on his shoes, I could faintly see the love bites on his chest. I looked away and continued the conversation. "It says here you can make hundreds of thousands in one race. That kind is a death wish. Once the race starts, it's life or death." Ethan stood up and opened the door. The man's whispered words from last night still echoed in my ears. He said he would give me a better life. This man, who seemed so indifferent, had taken Luna's words to heart. I quickly called out to him, "Ethan, don't risk your life. I don't want to be a widow so young." The man's figure paused. Then I heard his voice with a slight upward lilt. "Okay." Chapter 12. After Ethan left, I hurried to my appointment. I was still short on funds and needed to find a partner. But I didn't expect to find not only a potential partner, but also Luna and Aiden. "Mr. Song, rest assured. My Aiden has a lot of connections from over the years, and with the support of the Fairchild family, he'll definitely do a great job." Luna smiled sweetly as she handed a contract to Mr. Song. "Mr. Song, am I late?" I walked over confidently. I was actually 10 minutes early for our scheduled meeting. Mr. Song looked at me, a hint of apology in his eyes. "Serena, you're just in time. I was still considering your proposal. After careful thought, I've decided that the short-form dramas you mentioned don't have much profit potential." I frowned slightly and handed him my proposal. "Mr. Song, the future of the short-form drama market is not to be underestimated. I trust you, which is why I wanted to partner with you. Are you sure you won't reconsider? In my past life, my collaboration with this Mr. Song had been quite pleasant. Although he had his quirks, we ultimately achieved a win-win situation. That's why I wanted to choose him again in this life, but I didn't expect Luna to get to him first. How much can you earn from shooting some silly short-form dramas? It's nothing compared to the profits from live stream marketing." Luna's tone was dismissive. I narrowed my eyes slightly. Live streaming was indeed profitable. In my past life, I had found the right niche, and with significant investment in advertising in the early stages, the results were excellent. And Luna, having watched me become a top new streamer, was already consumed with jealousy. Now, in this new life, was she planning to walk my old path? Luna then snorted. "Serena, you haven't gotten a penny from your family since you got married, and your husband is just a mechanic with no prospects. If something goes wrong, Mr. Song will be the one left holding the bag." At that, Mr. Song's expression changed completely. I glanced at Luna, my voice calm and steady. "You don't need to worry about me, but you, on the other hand, the Sterling family isn't doing so well right now. If you cause any more trouble, they'll probably have to sell everything they own. The live streaming industry could be incredibly lucrative if done right. But if it went wrong, losing everything would be a lucky outcome. The real fear was being saddled with damages and lawsuits. In my past life, I had been incredibly careful and put in so much effort to establish myself. Luna had only seen the money I made, but she had never understood the risks involved. "Serena, I know you're young and have ideas, but can you afford the consequences? I used to think that with the Sterling family behind you, you'd have a safety net. But Luna told me that you haven't been on good terms with them since you got married. I hope this isn't just some rich girl trying to make a name for herself by taking advantage of a small businessman like me." Mr. Song's face fell. There was nothing more to say. I forced a smile. Then I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Song. The contract was signed. Luna triumphantly waved the contract in her hand. Sorry about that, stealing your business partner. But what can I do? My Aiden needs this partnership. Don't worry, when Aiden takes over the Fairchild family, I'll compensate you. When Aiden takes over the Fairchild family. With that brainless idiot Aiden, or with the advantage Luna thought she had from being reborn? I don't need your compensation. But I should remind you, Mr. Song is a good man, with one flaw: he runs at the first sign of trouble. I'd advise you to have a backup plan. Hearing this, Luna laughed even more wildly. What do I have to be afraid of? I'm Mrs. Fairchild now. The Fairchild family is my backup plan. The Fairchild family. That useless Aiden was more likely to cause me trouble than be a backup plan. And the Sterlings, after I started making money, had become blood-sucking leeches, never offering any help. Seeing Luna's triumphant expression, as if victory was already hers, my eyes deepened, and I asked her meaningfully, "The live streaming industry is a treacherous business. Are you sure you can handle it?" "If you can, why can't I?" Luna sneered. "I'm no worse than you. In fact, I can do it even better. All right then. I'll be waiting to see how you do it better than me." I picked up my proposal and left. In my past life, I had found success in live streaming. But only I knew the hardships of the early days, the endless investments in marketing and promotion. The profits were substantial once it took off, but the initial investment was huge. If you couldn't sustain it, you'd lose everything. Chapter 13. My potential partner was snatched by Luna. I had to find another way. My best friend and I spent the next 2 months searching for partners and shooting locations before finally securing a deal. I used all the money I had saved up from college to finally scrape together enough funds. Meanwhile, Luna was already seeing results. Her live streaming career began with a massive promotional campaign, which significantly boosted her visibility. She was attractive and had already built a small following on social media by sharing her favorite products. Now, with the help of a marketing team, she appeared in her live streams with a ditzy beauty persona. "This is really great, let me show you." In the live stream, Luna clumsily tried to open a bottle of serum, but her hand slipped, and the entire bottle shattered on the floor. She stared blankly at the spilled liquid. This carefully orchestrated accident had the desired effect. "Ha ha ha, the streamer must be dying inside right now." "Streamer, will the brand sponsor kill me when I get home today?" After a moment of flustered panic, Luna, with tears in her eyes, picked up another bottle. "I'm so sorry, I got nervous seeing so many people in the live stream for the first time. I'll show you how to apply this serum." This simple, scripted moment perfectly portrayed her ditzy and pitiful persona. With the platform's traffic boost, Luna quickly became famous. She had also invested heavily in the beginning, offering her products at a discount and even funding her own giveaways to attract viewers. Within half a month, Luna's live streaming career took off, and even Aiden gained some influence within the Fairchild family. "Dad, Mom, Aiden is getting a lot of attention from the Fairchilds now." His father even allocated $5 million to him the other day. Once this partnership is finalized, Aiden will be able to take over the family business. Luna was still bragging about her achievements in the family group chat. She didn't forget to tag me. "Serena, how are things on your end? I heard you've been running into a lot of dead ends. How about this? I can invest a little in your project. I won't ask for much. We can just split the profits 50-50. I muted the chat and continued to work on my set. We were shooting a fake heiress's success story. This theme was overdone in novels, but it was still a fresh concept in the short-form drama market. I was confident it would be a hit. After a night shoot, I caught a ride home with the male lead. "Director Jiang, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Could I treat you to dinner tomorrow?" The actor was young and inexperienced, in his early 20s, a recent college graduate. "I'm sorry, I'm busy with work tomorrow. I won't have time." I politely declined. As I turned to go upstairs, I saw the door was ajar. Ethan was leaning against the doorframe, a cigarette between his fingers. I disliked the smell of smoke, and he had rarely smoked since we got married. "Why are you still up?" I walked in and closed the door. My eyes fell on the wisp of smoke from the cigarette. Ethan pursed his lips, stubbed out the cigarette, and then drank half a bottle of water. Before I could finish, I was suddenly lifted into the air. His tanned arms were strong, and his well-defined but not overly bulky muscles easily lifted me and placed me on the table. He lowered his head slightly, our eyes level. A hot kiss landed on my lips, tasting of smoke. It was acrid and unpleasant. I frowned in discomfort, and Ethan pulled away. His lips moved to my neck, planting small, light kisses. "I'll quit smoking from now on." "Okay." His breathing on my neck paused, then quickened. His large, rough hand fumbled with the strap of my dress. Under his black t-shirt, the man's body was incredibly alluring. He guided my hand, and in a few short breaths, his voice was raspy. "I'm in the mood for something spicy." Maybe it was the change of scenery, but Ethan seemed to go on for much longer this time. Tangled together on the small sofa, he held my waist and placed me on his lap. I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. All I remember is the trembling of my body as Ethan held me tightly. His sexy, hoarse voice whispered in my ear, "I'll pick you up from work from now on." Okay. Chapter 14. The short-form drama didn't take long to shoot. After about 10 days, we had all the footage we needed. To ensure the quality of the final product, I personally oversaw the post-production editing. During this time, Luna had a stroke of luck. It was a holiday season, and her product promotion was successful, resulting in millions in sales. While I was busy looking for investors, she was already selecting products and live streaming, making a fortune. I occasionally saw her posts on social media, with tens of thousands of comments under them. "Luna, you worked so hard on product selection today, you look so tired in the live stream, make sure you get some rest." "OMG, I won the phone, Luna. I love you. The serum you recommended is amazing. I've already recommended it to my roommates." I had to admit, Luna was a quick learner. In this digital age, as long as you can generate buzz, you can make money. But she had overlooked one thing: being too eager for quick success would only backfire. The next time we met, she came to me. She was dressed in expensive designer clothes, a new season Hermes bag practically shoved in my face. A sparkling gem necklace adorned her neck, and she wore a diamond ring on almost every finger. As soon as she sat down, she started fiddling with her bag, a triumphant smile on her face. Aiden got a bonus from his project and insisted on buying me a bag. I just picked one at random. "It's just a bag to carry things in. There's really no need to buy such an expensive one." Oh, so she remembered what I said about her buying an out-of-season bag? I nodded seriously. "This bag is nice. It'll hold its value. If that useless Aiden caused any trouble later, she could sell it to cover the damages." After all, in my past life, I had to humble myself countless times to borrow money to pay off his debts. Disappointed that she didn't get the reaction she wanted, Luna's expression soured, and she snorted. "Oh, Serena, I have to say, working on these little dramas is so much work. I heard you've been working overtime for over half a month." I told the post-production team to take a break, then handed Luna a bottle of water. "What's up? I wanted to talk about a partnership. What if your little drama flops when it's released? All your hard work will be for nothing." Luna tossed her hair and placed a contract in front of me. "Our live stream is really popular right now, and we have dedicated promotion channels. Brands pay us over $1 million just for a promotion. How about this, for old time's sake, $2 million, what do you say?" Luna's offer made me laugh. The production cost of my drama was less than $1 million, and she wanted me to spend $2 million on a live stream promotion. I'd have to be an idiot to make such a losing deal. I looked at Luna beside me. "You've taken on a lot of promotional deals this week, haven't you?" "Yeah, the money is so easy to make. Serena, you see, anything you can do, and I can even do it better." Luna became even more triumphant. She was jealous that I had been lucky enough to live as the sterling heiress for so many years, so after returning to the family, she tried to one-up me in every way. It was as if her happiness depended on being better than me and seeing me fail. I took a sip of my hot tea. "I don't have the money, so I'm not considering a partnership. My little project can't accommodate such a big star." "Serena Sterling, I'm telling you." Luna was about to continue her taunts when her phone rang. She immediately answered it. I don't know what was said on the other end, but Luna's face paled. "How is that possible? I had my maids try that product. There was nothing wrong with it." "Suppress the news immediately. I'm on my way back." The sound of her high heels clicking echoed as she rushed out. I casually scrolled through my phone. The news was already trending. Luna's live stream product causes skin reactions, Chapter 15. To build hype, Luna had been aggressively promoting her live stream online. Now, after the product issues came to light, the consequences of her million-dollar sales were coming back to haunt her. Netizens were furious. My sister used the face mask this streamer recommended, and now her face is a mess. Heck, Luna also recommended a $3 or $4 serum. I used it and broke out immediately. Don't you guys know? Luna is a sterling heiress and married into the Fairchild family, a family like that would never use a cheap serum. It's disgusting. She's already so rich. Why is she still trying to scam people? Unscrupulous people like her should be punished. The social media post announcing Luna's live stream from that morning was now flooded with angry comments. Insults and harsh words poured in. Being a product promoter is not an easy job, and Luna, with her self-proclaimed high status, would never personally test such cheap products. With no quality control and an eagerness to make a quick buck, it was inevitable that something would go wrong. I put down my phone and rolled down the car window. My gaze fell on Ethan beside me. This man was true to his word. I don't know if it was jealousy or some other ulterior motive, but he had been picking me up from work every day. Today, he had arrived in a hurry. When I saw him, his forehead was still beaded with sweat, his face slightly flushed, and his black shirt was stained with dirt. The sharp line of his jaw was even more defined. His tanned face showed a hint of weariness, but it couldn't hide his lazy, wild charm. "What do you want to eat?" Ethan spoke, his voice laced with a slight rasp. The weather had changed a few days ago, and it happened to be my time of the month. Ethan had gone out in the middle of the night to buy me brown sugar and got caught in a downpour. He was soaked to the bone, but the bag of brown sugar was kept perfectly dry. The next day, he had a low-grade fever and a cough, and his voice was still a little nasal. "I'm not really hungry. What about you?" Ethan slowly pressed the brake, stopping steadily at a red light. The evening sunset was beautiful, and the warm light softened the man's sharp features. He turned to me, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Feel like something spicy?" Certain explicit images uncontrollably flashed through my mind. I feigned composure. "Your cold isn't better yet." "True." Ethan started the car again, his deep, nasal voice drifting over. "Then I won't use my mouth." Could he really say that with a straight face? I considered myself a veteran in these matters, even in this new life compared to Ethan. But in this area, I was clearly outmatched. And Ethan, the late bloomer, was a man of action. The door to the apartment had barely closed when he pressed me against it. His warm lips instinctively moved towards mine, but he stopped just short, his kisses landing on my neck instead. His grip on my waist was firm, his strong arms trapping me. The air was filled with his scent, mixed with a faint hint of sweat. "Do you need help with work?" The sensation on my neck was indescribably tingly, and my head was spinning. "You?" His strong arms easily lifted me and placed me on the newly bought dining table. The man was now at my eye level. The air conditioner hadn't been turned on yet, adding to the heat in the room. "I have a friend who's interested in this field. I can introduce you. Won't it be too much trouble?" My words were fragmented, and with his wandering fingers, I could barely form a coherent sentence. I heard a low chuckle in my ear as he lifted my leg. I felt a heavy pressure as his nose brushed against my shoulder. His hot breath fanned across my skin, followed by a muffled groan. "Serena, I like it when you trouble me." Chapter 16. By the time we were done, I was starving. The kitchen fan hummed as I picked up my phone again. The online drama continued to unfold. It wasn't just the product issues. In her pursuit of profit, Luna had ignored the supplier's order limits and listed an unlimited number of items. The supplier couldn't keep up with the demand, leading to a flood of canceled orders and negative reviews. Coupled with the questions about her quality control, the negative publicity was a huge blow. This time, she was likely facing a hefty breach of contract fine. Here's the contact information for the young master of the Vance family. A steaming bowl of noodles was placed in front of me, and the man's long fingers held a business card. I glanced at it, the youngest son of the Vance family. He used to be a notorious playboy, but in recent years, he had started to take on some business, specifically in online operations and promotion. I took the card and looked at Ethan. "Are you too close? We're all right." Ethan turned up the air conditioning. His deep-set eyes still held a hint of lazy satisfaction. "Serena, I'm just making the introduction. The rest is up to you." I nodded. "I understand." "So?" Ethan rested his chin on his hand, his sharp jawline looking particularly cool. "Is there a reward?" I paused. Over the past few months, Ethan's kindness had become so natural that I had grown accustomed to it. I had accepted it without a second thought. Sometimes, I even felt like we were a real married couple. I took a large bite of noodles to fill my empty stomach, then asked uncertainly, "After I close the deal, I'll give you a bonus?" "I don't need money." Ethan's gaze darkened. "I can introduce some clients to your garage." I tried to think of things that would benefit him. "My garage doesn't need you to introduce clients." That wasn't right either. Ethan seemed annoyed. He looked away. "We'll put the reward on hold. You can tell me when you think of something suitable." That night, Ethan seemed to be in a mood. He showered by himself and then lay on his side of the bed, not even glancing at me. The weather was hot, but I was a little sensitive to the cold. Even with the air conditioning on, the room was still warm. Most of the time, Ethan slept like he was now, shirtless. His alluring physique was on full display. He worked out regularly, and the lines of his lower back were particularly defined. His broad shoulders were free of any fat, exuding a powerful masculinity. I couldn't resist poking his waist, my voice softening. "I didn't mean it like that. I'll treat you to dinner later." Ethan remained unmoved. I was at a loss. I racked my brain for something to say, then tried again. "Or is there something you want? A game or something else?" I didn't finish. Ethan suddenly turned, pinning my hands to the bed. His eyes were sharp and displeased. Below his lean chest, his abs were clearly visible. "Serena, what is our relationship?" The answer formed in my mind before I spoke. "Husband and wife, but it seems you've never really accepted that." Ethan stared at me, the coldness in his eyes dissipating, replaced by a look of resignation. "Your reward for me is based on what you think I need in terms of material gain." But what he wanted wasn't any of that. I opened my mouth, but couldn't find the words to argue. He was right. I had thought that once I was free from the Sterling's control, I would also end this arranged marriage. "Go to sleep." Ethan released my hands, his soft hair brushing against my face. The man lay flat on his back, his breathing gradually evening out. I looked at him, an indescribable feeling welling up in my chest. I turned over and gently hugged his arm. "Ethan, can't sleep?" The man turned his head to look at me. "I don't mind another round of bedtime activities." Chapter 17. The next day, I contacted the young master of the Vance family. The post-production of the short-form drama was almost complete, but the subsequent marketing costs were too high. I needed to partner with a company. As long as the marketing yielded a good return, I could use the profits to slowly build my business. You can't get fat on one bite. This principle applies to every industry. "So you're Serena Sterling?" The man sitting across from me had blue-gray hair and a silver earring in his left ear. He wore a black t-shirt and looked just as the rumors described him. A gadabout. "Hello, young Mr. Vance." I greeted him. Leo Vance leaned back lazily. "Let's cut to the chase. What makes you think this thing of yours will make money?" "It's fast-paced, which suits the lifestyle of young people today. The plot is over the top, but it's very satisfying." "Let me ask you, young Mr. Vance, do you read novels?" Leo glanced at me. "Occasionally." "Son-in-Law, Soldier King, The 3-Year Return of the King." I listed some of the most popular genres for male readers. Leo nodded. "Something like that." I then showed him a novel advertisement. It was a 30-second clip promoting a novel. It started with a man defying his elders and carrying a coffin, leading to a series of strange events. Leo was immediately captivated, his eyes glued to the phone. When the clip ended, he frowned. "What happened to the female ghost?" I smiled. "Young Mr. Vance, do you think a short-form drama that gets straight to the point is more appealing than a long novel?" Leo instinctively wanted to argue. But on second thought, it was only 30 seconds, and it was full of suspense. Although the acting and scenery were crude, it really did pique his interest, making him want to see more. Clearing his throat, Leo said, "I'll try promoting it, but I won't invest too much in the beginning. If there's no return, I'll pull out immediately." I nodded, finally feeling a sense of relief. In this field, the Vance family was one of the best. As long as this young master agreed, with my analysis of the short-form drama market, I might not make a fortune, but it would be enough to get my foot in the door. After briefly discussing the partnership, Leo stood up. My secretary will contact you about the details of our collaboration. Okay, thank you for your time today, young Mr. Vance. Leo paused, giving me a strange look before muttering to himself. Why does he have to like such a difficult woman? What? I didn't catch that. Leo snorted again. Nothing, I have a race next week. You can come if you're free. That was a sudden change of topic. I'll send you the location. All right. You can't guess the whims of a rich benefactor. It's best to just go along with them. I have to say, although Leo looked like a playboy, he was surprisingly efficient. The contract was sent over that night and quickly finalized. A few days later, a massive promotional campaign was launched on TikTok, and the drama garnered over 1 million views on the first day. Leo, you've got some skills after all. We'll continue the promotion. But as we agreed, if you need a partner in the future, you have to come to me first. He followed it with a smug emoji. I replied with a few words. I was so busy I barely had time to breathe. The successful trial meant the market would soon open up. I had to strike while the iron was hot and prepare for the next project. After sending out the future plans to the studio's group chat, my adoptive parents called. Chapter 18. 30 million. The Sterling family couldn't come up with that much money even if we sold everything. As soon as I got home, I heard my adoptive father's voice. Luna's eyes were red from crying, and Aiden stood beside her, looking meek and silent. I didn't know it would turn out like this. I just wanted to make some extra money. Who knew something would go wrong? It wasn't just the product issues and insufficient stock. Luna's rivals had also exposed all her dirty laundry. Things like her looking down on affordable brands and never testing the products herself, instead giving them to her maids. The relentless attacks not only crushed her hard-earned live streaming career, but also brought a flood of breach of contract claims. Over the past few days, Luna had managed to appease the customers affected by the faulty products, but now she was being bombarded with legal letters from the brands. Aiden, you have some influence in the Fairchild family now. If you say something, they won't just ignore their own son, will they? My adoptive father tried to get Aiden to help. Aiden quickly waved his hands, eager to distance himself from the situation. My dad said the money he gave us before was an investment. We're lucky he's not asking us to pay it back. Besides, Dad, the live streaming was Luna's idea. She was the one who took the money. I didn't see a single penny. Instantly, Luna's face turned ashen. Birds of a feather flock together, but when disaster strikes, they fly their separate ways. I crossed my arms and watched the drama unfold. Luna forced a smile and tugged at Aiden's sleeve, her voice gentle. Aiden, when the live streaming took off, your status in the Fairchild family improved, didn't it? Besides, this is just a small setback. The Fairchilds think so highly of you lately. Just tell them you need money for a new investment. Aiden was all talk and no action. He could be arrogant with outsiders, but when it came to important matters, especially after Julian's return, he was as timid as a mouse. Now that there was trouble, he wouldn't dare ask the Fairchilds for a cent. He glanced at Luna, his irritation growing. The Fairchilds aren't stupid. Everyone knows about your scandal. If I ask for money now, what will they think of me? I think we should ask Mom and Dad. The Sterlings are still a respectable family. We don't have any money. My adoptive father was furious. In the last life, he had hoped my marriage would help the family. This time, with Luna, they had managed to secure a few deals and recover some losses. But the Sterlings had been in debt for years. My adoptive mother's eyes darted around and finally landed on me. Serena, didn't you shoot a short-form drama? I heard it's doing very well. You must have made a lot of money, right? At that, Luna also looked over. Her eyes were filled with jealousy and resentment. She spoke in a demanding tone. Serena Sterling, give me all the money you've made. You've enjoyed my life for so many years. You owe me this. I almost laughed at the shamelessness of this mother-daughter duo. I'm just an employee. I only get a small share of the profits, not even enough to buy one of Luna's bags. Besides, doesn't the young Master Fairchild still have all those luxury cars and watches? Selling them should be enough to cover the debt. Luna nearly ground her teeth to dust. She had already had them appraised. Even after selling them, she would still be short by more than 10 million. Aiden's expression was also grim. He had hoped that marrying into the somewhat influential Sterling family would provide him with a comfortable life, especially with the prospect of a child and the associated family support. But he hadn't expected the seemingly clever woman he married to cause such a massive financial disaster. Not only had he lost millions, but now he was being asked to sell his cars and watches to pay off her debts. He finally snapped, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "I was against this whole live streaming thing from the beginning. If you had just focused on having a baby for the Fairchilds, we would have been getting at least 10 million a year. Now, even if we sell everything, it won't be enough to cover the losses." Chapter 19. Luna was stunned, not expecting Aiden to stab her in the back at a time like this, but with us present, she had to suppress her anger. "But we were making a lot of money before, much more than the Fairchilds were giving you. Aiden, this is just a small mistake. Once we get through this, we'll be making a fortune." Aiden might be a fool, but he wasn't falling for that. "How are we going to get through this? 30 million. Can you come up with that, or can I?" Luna bit her lip. My adoptive mother took her arm and whispered something in her ear. I saw their eyes flicker towards me, a calculating glint in them. Sure enough, a week later, Luna reappeared in the public eye, playing the victim. At that time, I was at Leo Vance's office discussing the next short-form drama. He handed me a tablet. "See for yourself. You're more popular than the drama now." On the screen was a recording of Luna's live stream. At first, she was just sincerely apologizing. "I know I've betrayed the trust of many of you. I was too impatient and wanted to see results quickly. Please rest assured, I will take full responsibility for all the losses." Then, a plant in the audience asked the key question. "Isn't Luna a sterling heiress? Now that there's trouble, will Mr. Sterling help?" At this, Luna feigned panic, her eyes filling with tears. "Maybe it's because I haven't spent much time with my parents, but they don't seem to like me very much." "How can that be? I heard Luna has a sister. Is it possible that Mr. Sterling prefers her?" I guess so. Even though we were switched at birth and I'm their biological daughter, but..." At this point, Luna seemed to catch herself, staring at the camera with a dazed expression. I didn't mean it like that. Okay, let's not dwell on my identity. No matter what happened in the past, I'm just grateful to be back with my family." This live stream, coupled with a paid online campaign, completely changed the narrative. The issue of the faulty products was completely overshadowed by the drama of the real and fake heiress. The narrative was deliberately manipulated. Luna's mistakes were covered up, and instead, I was portrayed as a leech who had drained the Sterling family dry, causing their business to decline in recent years. And the real heiress, Luna, who had barely enjoyed her new life, was not only forced into an arranged marriage, but also had to bear the burden of the family's debts. This complete reversal, combined with Luna's victim act, garnered her the sympathy of many netizens, who felt sorry for the real heiress who had suffered for 20 years. On top of that, Luna's sincere attitude and her efforts to compensate the affected customers had won back some of their trust. Although Luna made a mistake, she's being very sincere, and her products are really cheap. She was just trying to get us a good deal. As long as she properly vets her products in the future, it's fine. Yeah, my cousin's face broke out after using her product, and Luna's studio came to her door, paid her tens of thousands in compensation, and even bought her a bunch of gifts. Her attitude is really good. They dug up my identity and flooded my social media accounts with verbal attacks. Chapter 20. Haha, so this is the fake heiress? No wonder that short-form drama about the real and fake heiress was so addictive. Turns out it's based on her real life. Not only did she steal Luna's identity, but she also caused the Sterling family to go into debt. If it weren't for our Luna trying to pay off those debts, she wouldn't have been so eager to succeed and ended up in this mess. And get this, she's a real piece of work. After getting married, she made a fortune for herself and washed her hands of the Sterling family's problems. My calm expression must have been unnerving because even Leo was getting restless. "Miss Sterling, you're being cyberbullied." "Yes, I can see that." I handed the tablet back to Leo. "My follower count has gone up by 100,000. "That's good." Leo's eyes widened slightly. "That's it. Didn't you see what they're saying about you? And this is a big deal, the drama. The drama's popularity will only continue to grow. We should even be thankful for this wave of traffic." I calmly finished Leo's sentence. I knew Luna too well. I had seen this kind of tactic countless times in my past life as a media personality. When you're in the spotlight, anyone can take a shot at you. Tapping on the table, I continued, we should use this traffic to promote the drama. I think its popularity can reach a new level. Free traffic is free traffic, and even bad publicity is still publicity. A few insults won't hurt me, but their curiosity will lead them to watch my drama, and that's what matters. Leo listened, stunned, and finally clapped a few times. Unflappable, calmly in command, Serena Sterling, you are terrifyingly brilliant. My tone was serious. I think you should be happy to have such a calm and composed partner. Leo nodded seriously, then said in a strange tone, no wonder it's taking him so long to win you over. What was this rich idiot muttering about now? All right, we'll ride this wave of traffic, and the promotion will continue, but you need to be careful. Netizens can be crazy. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I always carried some self-defense items, and Ethan would be picking me up from work. At worst, I'd have to endure some online harassment for a while. Leo stood up briskly. Let's go. Where to? Leo glanced back at me. Didn't we agree? You're coming to watch me race. Right, I had almost forgotten about that in the midst of everything. He floored it, and we sped down an unrestricted road, arriving at the location in half an hour. It was a familiar place. Ethan's workplace. Unlike last time, the empty lot was now filled with 3 or 4 luxury cars. The men gathered there were all well-known playboys, chatting idly. As they saw us, a man in a black hat whistled and sauntered over. New girl, not bad. Leo shot him a look. Don't talk nonsense, or you'll get your ass kicked later. I know what you're like, you little. His hand moved quickly, about to land on my shoulder. Smack, a crisp slapping sound. A familiar presence drew near, and I was pulled into a warm embrace. Chapter 21. A long, slender hand rested on my shoulder. I followed its direction. Ethan's face was cold, his gaze casual yet aggressive. His black t-shirt was stained with grease, and his strong hand pulled me back slightly. Big E, is she your girl? The man in the black hat stammered. Ethan's expression remained frosty, but his voice softened. No, she's my wife. The man in the black hat was stunned, then quickly put on a serious smile. Mrs. Coleman, my apologies, I was out of line just now. Please don't take it to heart. I shook my head, giving him some face. It's fine, we're all friends just joking around, I understand. Good. Well, Big E, I'll go get ready then. The man in the black hat glanced at Ethan again, and seeing that he had nothing more to say, he scurried off. I looked at Ethan, and he was looking at me. After a moment, he said, Didn't I tell you not to come here? My gaze fell on Leo beside me, my tone resigned. The boss's orders, I had no choice. Leo chimed in, What's the big deal, Big E? It's just a race, not some top-secret event. Besides, I saw you looking all lonely at your other races, so I brought someone to cheer you on. Ethan's brow furrowed. He glared at Leo, then said to me, There's a clubhouse inside. You can get food and drinks there. If you want to leave, let me know. There was a clubhouse here. I looked past Ethan. Behind the empty lot was his garage, which seemed to have been renovated. I nodded. The third room is my lounge. Here's the key. I nodded again. We had been married for a few months, but this was the first time I was seeing his world up close. Ethan's grip on my shoulder tightened, as if he wanted to say something, but he just said, I have something to do. I'll have Leo take you inside. Don't worry. Leo waved his hand and led me towards the clubhouse. It was right behind the garage. A long corridor led to a clubhouse-like area in the back. There weren't many people inside, just 7 or 8 men and women scattered around. You can sit here. When the race starts, you can watch it on this monitor. Leo pointed to the monitor above. I agreed, then couldn't help but ask, You all seem to respect Ethan a lot? These were all rich kids. Although the Coleman family had been prominent before its fall, they were now broke. It was unlikely that these rich kids were still holding onto old loyalties. At that, a grim expression crossed Leo's face. Have you ever seen him race? Big E, he was once known for being a daredevil. Chapter 22. I didn't have to wait long in the clubhouse. Ethan walked in with a bottle of cold water. He twisted off the cap for me and handed me a few bags of snacks. I'll take you home after the race. Okay. He really seemed to dislike me being here. The air conditioning was blasting, and a patch of his dark shirt was already soaked with sweat. He was craving a cigarette, his fingers drumming against his leg. After a few breaths, he popped a mint into his mouth. You know, Big E's family went through a lot. When he first opened his garage, he ran into a lot of trouble. Every rich kid wanted to spit on him. To pay off his debts, most of his races were life or death. Once, to get first place, he risked his life to overtake on a turn. After crossing the finish line, he couldn't straighten out and his car flipped. He was in the hospital for over half a year. Leo's words from a little while ago echoed in my mind, tugging at my heartstrings. In our line of work, we're not afraid of accidents, but there aren't many who are as fearless as Big E. After that, we all had a new level of respect for him. To put it bluntly, he risked his life for a little bit of status. He did make some money later, and with that guy from the Goo family, he opened this clubhouse, and no one dared to look down on him anymore. A sudden touch of a man's warm hand on my earlobe. I came back to my senses. Ethan had bent down slightly, our eyes level. "What are you thinking about?" I was thinking about how Ethan had survived that period of his life. I shook my head and smiled at him. "Nothing, be safe. I'll be here waiting for you to come home." His sharp features softened. A light kiss landed on my lips, a brief touch before he pulled away. Okay. Chapter 23, the race wasn't long. As it was nearing the end, I grabbed a drink and waited for Ethan at the finish line. This was the first time I had seen him race. The man's expression was cold and focused, but his eyes were incredibly bright. The car traced an arc on the deserted road until the finish line. He had left the car behind him by nearly 100 meters. The car door opened, and Ethan's tall frame emerged into the sunlight. The midday sun beat down on him. A bead of sweat trickled down the side of his face. He looked at me, his gaze calm. But in that moment, it was like the summer heat suddenly igniting a fire. "Congratulations, first place." I handed him the drink. He took it, twisting the cap. He tilted his head back slightly. His Adam's apple bobbed sensuously as a drop of sweat rolled down his throat and disappeared into his black t-shirt. For some reason, my throat felt dry. An inexplicable wave of heat washed over me. "Hey, Serena Sterling, how come you didn't get me a drink?" Leo, who had followed behind, grumbled, "What's more important, your love life or your work?" I smiled, remembering that I couldn't afford to offend my benefactor, and handed him the other bottle. Leo was satisfied, then leaned in to ask, "Who were you cheering for just now?" I held my tongue. Before I could speak, Ethan answered for me. "She was cheering for you. After all, I'm a guaranteed first place." With that, Ethan took my hand and led me to his car, opening the door for me. Backlit by the sun, the gentleness in his eyes was even more apparent. "Let's go home." Behind us, I heard Leo's frustrated cry, "Hey, Big E, what about dinner? You're just going to ditch me like that?" Ethan waved his hand dismissively. "I have to be with my wife today. Next time." Then, he stepped on the gas and drove off. Today, both Ethan and I had a rare day off. After showering at home, I was scrolling through Luna's live stream when the bathroom door opened again. The man was wearing only a towel, his wet hair dripping water down his well-defined body. The water trickled down to his abs and disappeared into the fine hairs below. "Do you have any more work to do?" Ethan drank another bottle of water and sat down beside me. "No, I'm off for the next 2 days." The online storm was still raging, and I was taking advantage of the momentum to make money. The studio had been arranged, so I didn't have to run around like before. So, Ethan's eyes deepened. I blurted out, "I can't have anything spicy today." A low chuckle came from beside me as Ethan casually dried his hair. His slightly longer hair was tousled into a wild style that made his face look even more aggressive. "Do you want to go out or stay home and rest? Today, I'm all yours." Chapter 24. I couldn't sit still at home. We ended up going out for a walk. There were a lot of new movies out, so we picked one that was popular. Just as I got the tickets, Ethan went to buy snacks. From a distance, I saw Aiden. He had his arm around a sexy woman with big, wavy red hair and a voluptuous figure that stood out in the theater. He was stunned when he saw me. He instinctively pushed the woman away, but when she whimpered, he pulled her closer and snorted at me. "If you dare say anything, I'll make you regret it," still the same bully. He was a coward when it came to real trouble, but with me, who he saw as having no power or status, he was all arrogance and threats. "I'm not interested in your affairs, but I'd advise you, Luna won't always be so tolerant." "So what if she's not? We're married. What's she going to do?" Aiden snorted again and walked away with the woman in his arms. In my past life, Aiden was convinced that marrying him meant being tied to him for life, so he treated me with utter disregard. At his worst, he even asked me to step aside and make way for his mistress. A large bucket of popcorn was placed in front of me, with a small toy clipped to the side. Ethan, worried about my period cramps, had also bought me a warm cup of milk tea. "Is your stomach hurting? The movie doesn't start for another half hour. You're not used to eating out? I've ordered groceries. I'll cook for you when we get home." I was in a daze. When the Sterlings discovered I wasn't their biological daughter, I was still in elementary school. From then on, they treated me with cold indifference, raising me as a commodity. They demanded good grades and excellence in everything. Also, they could sell me off to the Fairchilds in exchange for business. The Sterlings didn't care about me. Aiden in my past life didn't care about me. And Luna saw me as a thorn in her side, but Ethan was different. "Will you always be this good to me?" I don't know if it was a sudden wave of emotion, but I, who had never believed in forever, asked the question. Without a moment's hesitation, Ethan's voice was firm. "Yes, always," I chuckled. No wonder some girls get fooled. Such sweet nothings are very effective in many situations. "You don't believe me?" Ethan's expression darkened, his lips pressed into a thin line. After a long moment, he pulled me out into a deserted stairwell and pressed me against the wall. "Serena Sterling, I would never lie to you." I nodded numbly, my thoughts inexplicably jumping to his past. "Ethan, why did you choose racing?" In the years I had known him, the Ethan of the past was not as wild and unapproachable as he was now. At most, he was cool and distant, not one for small talk. But when I saw him again years later, he was completely different from the Ethan I remembered. The hand on mine loosened, and Ethan took a step back into the shadows of the stairwell. Most of his body was in the darkness, his long, deep-set eyes tinged with a hint of loneliness. I didn't choose. At the time, he had no other choice. Chapter 25. After 2 days of rest, Luna's press releases were everywhere. In this new life, she was still following my old playbook, but her methods were much more despicable. By shifting the focus to me, she had managed to revive her live streaming career. With this momentum, she had even managed to get involved with the Fairchilds, helping Aiden secure a project to practice on, and her live stream had reached a new peak. Serena and I are actually very close. It's just that she's very busy and doesn't reply to my messages much. As she said this, Luna, maintaining her ditzy beauty persona, accidentally revealed our chat history. It was a series of concerned messages she had sent me 2 days ago. She was just asking how I was doing and thoughtfully asking if I had made a lot of money from my hit short-form drama. I had given a few perfunctory replies, but in her chat history, only the last sentence remained. "Just mind your own business." And so, the fans in her live stream once again turned on me. What's wrong with this woman? She was just asking how she was doing, why be so sarcastic? Our poor Luna. It's bad enough that this woman stole her identity as the real heiress, and now she's being so arrogant. Hugs for Luna, we love you. Yeah, the streamer recommended a product before, it was cheap and good, and it was the lowest price online. No matter what, I'll always believe in the streamer, under the camera. A faint hint of triumph flashed in Luna's eyes before she quickly resumed her sincere, ditzy beauty persona. Don't say that about Serena. She's been under a lot of stress at work lately, maybe she's just in a bad mood. What stress? The stress of making too much money? This kind of person is disgusting. All she does is hide behind the scenes. If she has the guts, she should come out and face me. Yeah, protect Luna. I'm going to send you a giant rocket. For a while, Luna was back in the public eye, selecting products again. And I, taking advantage of the traffic, launched my second short-form drama with Leo. So generous. Knowing you'd be calmly plotting her demise. Leo glanced at me, watching Luna's live stream with a calm expression, a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. It's not time yet. I adjusted my evening gown and reapplied my lipstick. Tonight was the Fairchild Corporation's anniversary celebration. I was invited as Serena Sterling. And Julian Fairchild, who had been abroad for a long time, would also be there. Chapter 26. By the time I arrived at the banquet, Luna and Aiden were already the center of attention. Aiden had been having a good run lately, with both his and his wife's careers on the rise. Previously a nonentity at the Fairchild Corporation, he now had plenty of people trying to curry favor with him. Luna was grinning from ear to ear, her chin held high like a preening peacock. That's CEO Lee from Minghua Group, and that's President Wang from Xiaoming. And that one, Aiden, you know him, he's in charge of the entertainment division at Fairchild. If you want to make connections, those are the ones to talk to. Leo pointed them out to me one by one. I took note of them all. My target tonight wasn't them, but Julian Fairchild. In my past life, Julian was already developing a new app at this time. Before my death, the app's daily traffic had already exceeded 100 million, and its prospects were very promising. I glanced at Leo, who had been by my side since we arrived, and couldn't help but ask, "Don't you have anything better to do?" Leo shot me a glare. "I don't need to negotiate deals with them." True. Although Leo had been involved in some business in recent years, his older brother was still in charge of the main operations. Plus, his heart wasn't in it. He made money purely by chance. But he had a good eye, and the projects he had partnered on in the past 2 years had all been profitable. "Then why are you here?" Leo looked me up and down. "Big E has something on tonight and can't make it." "So?" Leo replied matter-of-factly, "So I'm here to watch over you for him. Even though you're married, you're still good-looking. It's not easy for Big E to get married at his age, and most importantly, he promised to make my car even cooler." So that last part was the real reason. Leo's obsession with cars was truly on another level. "All right, I'm not going to babysit you anymore. I'm going to mingle for a bit. Let me know when you're ready to leave." Leo couldn't help but complain, "I hate these kinds of events." I wasn't a fan either, but for the sake of my career. I turned and grabbed a glass of wine. From a distance, I could hear whispers. "His return this time is making quite a stir." I know, right? Do you think he came back because he saw that illegitimate son getting some recognition from the family and couldn't stand it? Keep your voice down. He may seem gentle, but he has a terrible temper. At the center of everyone's attention, a man in a black suit with a gentle expression walked in from the main hall. The man was tall, about 6'1", and the well-tailored suit, despite his gentle demeanor, gave him an imposing air. His features were completely different from Aiden's. Compared to Aiden's plain looks, Julian had a more approachable, handsome quality. His eyes, a legacy from his grandmother's Southern heritage, were soft, but behind the gold-rimmed glasses, they were as sharp as an eagle's. In my past life at the Fairchild estate, Julian was the only one who showed me any kindness, even if that kindness was based on my business acumen. After all, for this Fairchild, profit was everything. Holding my glass of red wine, I walked up to Julian and introduced myself. "I know who you are." Julian pushed up his glasses, and just like in my past life, his calculating gaze swept over me. "You've opened up a new market. You have a unique vision." High praise. But then again, Julian was never stingy with compliments for people who could make him money. I smiled politely. Before I could say more, I was interrupted. "Big brother." Aiden walked over with Luna. He had clearly had a few drinks. His face was flushed, and his eyes were glazed over. When his gaze fell on me, his eyes widened with a disgusting mix of surprise and lust. His eyes lingered on my exposed waist, and he even gulped audibly, regardless of the occasion. I shot him a cold glare, and he quickly looked away. "Serena, are you trying to strike a deal with my brother? I hate to say it, but your little studio is still in its infancy. It's a bit of a stretch to try and use my connection, don't you think?" Luna's voice was soft, but her words were sharp. I sneered. "Your connection? Is it even useful?" Did she really think that just by marrying into the Fairchild family, as I had, she could wield their power? Luna shot me a glare. I don't know if she had picked up some tricks from other streamers, but she struck a pose, her eyes watery as she looked at Julian. "Hello, big brother." Julian's eyes, behind his glasses, darkened. He looked at Aiden with displeasure. "Who let you bring this kind of woman in here?" Chapter 27. That one sentence completely wiped the smile off Luna's face. Aiden was also embarrassed. Before the banquet, he had told Luna to behave herself. He had thought that, as a late-blooming heiress, she would have learned some etiquette. But instead, she was being overly dramatic, even more so than the women he had dated. "Big brother, this is Luna. You were abroad when we got married, so you don't know her." Aiden explained lamely. Julian turned his attention back to Luna, his expression softening slightly. "The real sterling heiress?" Luna quickly nodded. Then she heard Julian say coldly, She's clearly been out in the world too long. No manners, no class. Luna's eyes were on the verge of tears. His words were not subtle at all. He might as well have pointed at her and called her a show-off. She instinctively tugged at Aiden's sleeve. Aiden, snapping back to reality, ignored her embarrassment and looked at Julian with pleading eyes. "Don't worry, big brother, I'll teach her. I promise she won't embarrass the Fairchild family." "You!" Luna was furious, but she bit back her words. Rage filled her eyes. The next second, she shot me a cold glare. Her eyes were filled with hatred for me and anger at Aiden's uselessness. I smiled faintly and raised my wine glass to her in a mock toast. Did she really expect Aiden to speak up for her? He was a lost cause. In my past life, the only reason he had reached the top of the Fairchild family was because of my tireless efforts. It had nothing to do with him. Carefully holding a glass of wine, Aiden humbled himself before Julian, his every word and action a careful calculation of Julian's expression. "Big brother, while you were away, I actually started to get involved in some business. Although it's just the beginning, I'm doing quite well. Now that you're back, you'll definitely need help. Maybe, get to the point." Julian took a sip of his wine and chuckled. "Don't play games with me." Aiden's hand trembled. He gritted his teeth and continued, "I want to take over the new drama project the family is investing in. 1, to help you out, and 2, to gain some experience." 3. Aiden's latest infatuation, a young actress, wanted a role in the drama. To win her favor, Aiden was quick to come up with a plan. In my past life, when that hit drama was released, I was busy with promotions while also trying to prevent Aiden's casting couch scandals from being exposed. It was a nightmare, and now I looked at Julian. His expression was still unreadable, his eyebrows raised in his usual manner. "If you want to give it a try, then it's yours," he spoke. A flash of joy crossed Aiden's face. Luna's face also lit up. After all, in my past life, this drama had been a massive hit, and it was what had brought Aiden to the attention of the old man. Perhaps in Luna's eyes, this was the beginning of a life of endless wealth and luxury. Perfect. The wonderful experience of dealing with paparazzi and buying photos in the middle of the night was something Luna should experience for herself. "Anything else?" Julian asked. Luna composed herself, but she couldn't help but exude a hint of her ditzy beauty persona. "Big brother, I've been live streaming recently, and my results have been pretty good. I heard you're about to launch a social app, so I was thinking we're family, we should keep the business in the family, right?" "Live streaming?" Julian sneered. "You mean that whole fiasco you caused? Even though you're married into our family, if you want to talk business with me, you need to show me results that I'm satisfied with. Right now, you're not qualified." Without missing a beat, Julian looked at me, his eyes filled with a businessman's calculation. "You, on the other hand, Miss Serena Sterling, I'm very interested in your short-form drama venture." Chapter 28. During a lull, I took some food to the back garden. The deal I wanted was done, but leaving now would be disrespectful to my future benefactor. Even if I had to endure it, I had to stay until the end of the banquet. "Serena, what are you doing out here?" A familiar voice came from behind. I turned around. You know what they say, clothes make the man. In a suit and with shoe lifts, even Aiden looked somewhat presentable. "Is there something you need, brother-in-law?" I emphasized the title. Technically, Luna was a few minutes older than me. But we weren't related, and we weren't close, so we usually just used each other's names. But if we were to follow proper etiquette, I should indeed call Aiden my brother-in-law. Aiden's smile faltered, then he shamelessly sidled up to me. "What's with the brother-in-law? You used to call me Mr. Fairchild. But now that my brother is back, if you call him Mr. Fairchild, no one will know who you're talking about. Just call me Aiden." I felt a wave of disgust. I knew that Aiden's libido went into overdrive when he drank, but I hadn't expected this. In this life, we had barely interacted, and the few times we had, it had been unpleasant. And yet, this man was still shameless enough to hit on me. "We can discuss titles later. Luna seems upset. You have some time now, you should go comfort her." Half an hour ago in the banquet hall, after learning that Julian was interested in partnering with me, Luna had shot me a look that could kill. "Serena Sterling, Julian has already agreed to let Aiden take over Zenith Entertainment. Slowly, everything in the Fairchild family will be Aiden's." She always thought that by following my old path, the things that were out of her reach in her past life would come to her. But she didn't know. Nothing of value can be obtained through shortcuts. Why talk about her? It ruins the mood. Aiden smiled and took 2 steps closer, so close that I could smell the alcohol on his breath. Serena, actually, I wanted to marry you from the beginning. Look at you, you're so beautiful and capable. If it weren't for my mother-in-law insisting that you weren't a real sterling and therefore not good enough for me, you would have been my wife long ago. I sneered and took a step back. Oh, really? Really? Aiden nodded emphatically. Serena, I heard from Luna that Ethan is useless, that he can't even, how about I let you? He grinned lecherously and reached for me. I quickly sidestepped him. As he stumbled, I kicked him in the rear. Splash, Aiden fell into the water. Serena Sterling, you... It looks like the third young master is drunk. I'm just helping him sober up. Chapter 29. On the way home, Leah was thoroughly enjoying the gossip. You really kicked that bastard into the pond? I nodded, my mouth full of the snacks Ethan had prepared for me, my voice muffled. His butt was right there, and there was a pond next to it. I couldn't resist. Damn it, why wasn't I there? Leo slammed the horn twice in regret. No, next time there's a good show like this, you have to tell me immediately. I'll give you a huge profit margin on our next deal. Is this what it's like to be rich? Willing to throw away money for a bit of gossip. The car stopped in front of the old apartment building. Leo looked at me. About Aiden, are you going to tell him or should I? I was silent for a moment. It's not a big deal, we don't have to say anything. Not a big deal. His wife was almost hit on. If Big E finds out later, Big E, Leo suddenly shouted. Before I could turn around, Leo was rushing me out of the car. Go, 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 get out, don't waste my time. Click, the seatbelt unbuckled. With a slam of the door, Leo stepped on the gas and disappeared. The faint scent of mint from Ethan filled the air beside me. In the darkness, the man's eyes, hidden in the shadows, subtly glanced at my slender waist. I turned to him. The man's expression was incredibly dark. Ethan and I went upstairs together. The old apartment building was dimly lit at night. As I stumbled in the dark, a pair of strong hands caught me. A warm grip held my waist. In the dark stairwell, only the man's heavy breathing was audible. We were just a few steps from home, but Ethan couldn't wait any longer and leaned in. His deep, raspy voice was thick with desire. What were you talking about just now? I looked up at him. His hand was on my back and the cramped space was filled with his scent. Nothing much, just that Aiden tried to hit on me and I kicked him into a pond. Hit on you? Ethan's voice turned cold, his hand on my waist tightening. Did he hurt you? I quickly shook my head. He didn't get the chance. He was drunk and not thinking straight. Ethan's expression darkened again. The atmosphere was tense. I raised an eyebrow. Are you angry? Yes. Ethan nodded, then added, not at you. A flicker of malice crossed his eyes. I really want to kill him. As he spoke, his lips crashed down on mine. A faint taste of alcohol spread through my mouth. It was cool, yet it brought an even more intense heat. The moon shifted, and a pale light fell on Ethan's face. The stairwell was stuffy. After a brief kiss, his heavy breathing was in my ear. It tickled my neck. Hearing footsteps from downstairs, Ethan quickly swept me into his arms, took a few steps, and opened the door with one hand. The room was brightly lit, and a hot meal was on the table. Ethan, on the other hand, had already composed himself. He gently untied my tight ponytail, then took a drink from the fridge. Eat something. You probably didn't eat much at the banquet. I nodded. I sat at the table and ate slowly. Ethan's mood was off. It was as if he was holding back a raging fire. Especially when he said, I really want to kill him. It was as if I didn't do something, Ethan would really lose control and vent his anger. I gently poked his hand. Aiden is just like that. I'll avoid him in the future. Ethan's expression twitched. He'd better watch himself. There won't be a next time. Chapter 30. That night I was exhausted. I woke up early the next day. Ethan had some free time and was busy fixing the air conditioner in the living room. I was busy arranging work. After what Julian had said last night, there had been no follow-up. Instead, Aiden had been given more power. And Luna, overjoyed, was eagerly following my old path, giving Aiden the list of actors I had carefully selected for my past project and telling him to cast them. After all, the success of that drama not only brought the Fairchild family hundreds of millions, but also took my live streaming career to the next level. The co-branded lipstick and eyeshadow we launched were a huge hit, and I made over $10 million in that week alone. But those actors were all A-listers, and some had even retired after getting married and having children. Getting them all back would not be easy. Not to mention, Aiden's new favorite was after the female lead role from the beginning. It's time for a change. Ethan got down from the chair. He was wearing only a black tank top, his chest muscles faintly visible. As sweat soaked his shirt, his muscles became even more defined. I tore my eyes away from my phone and glanced at the old air conditioner. We'll buy a new one later. Ethan put down his tools and casually wiped the sweat with a nearby towel. I mean, it's time to move. I was stunned. Come to think of it, Ethan wasn't as poor as I had thought. Although most of his money was invested in the clubhouse with that guy from the Goo family, he could still afford a decent apartment. But I had heard from Leo that Ethan had started from scratch here. Perhaps out of sentimentality, he had never moved. Taking off his soaked tank top, Ethan turned the air conditioner back on. The airflow wasn't strong, but it was cool enough. After a quick shower and making sure he didn't smell of sweat, he sat down beside me. Do you have any neighborhoods you like? He opened an app on his phone, and several properties were for sale. Are you buying a house? Ethan nodded, his eyes bright. I don't have all the money back yet, but I can afford a down payment and renovations. Property here was expensive, and the neighborhoods Ethan was showing me were in good locations. The down payment and renovations alone would probably cost over $1 million. I have some money. You don't have to. His warm fingers brushed against my forehead, tucking a stray hair behind my ear. Serena Sterling, before this, I never thought about buying a house. My expression froze, and he gently pressed his forehead against mine. It's nice. Suddenly, I want a home too. Chapter 31. After a week of silence, Julian finally messaged me. On Wednesday, I went to the Fairchild Corporation. As I got out of the elevator, I ran into Aiden, who was just leaving. He was beaming. He had been given some minor responsibilities recently, and after a stroke of luck on a small project, he had made a decent amount of money. Now he and Luna were acting like they owned the place. Serena Sterling, what are you doing here? Aiden's tone was hostile. He shot me another lecherous look, his voice unpleasant. I haven't settled the score with you for last time, I sneered. He was lucky I hadn't settled the score with him. And this loser had the audacity to blame me? Fine, I nodded calmly. Since Mr. Fairchild has some time now, why don't we go find him and clear the air? Harassing his nominal sister-in-law was not a story that would play well. Aiden's face changed, and he glared at me, gritting his teeth. Fine, you win, he pushed past me. Before getting into the elevator, his eyes lingered on me again, a hint of greed in them. For some reason, a sense of unease washed over me. I took out my phone and sent a message to Ethan. I walked into Julian's office. He didn't waste any time and handed me a contract. Exclusive rights. I can be flexible on the profit margin. I looked at the contract and calmly picked up the tea that had been prepared for me. I trust your abilities, Mr. Fairchild, but your app won't be launched until next month. Even with a massive advertising campaign, the initial daily active users won't be very high. Julian stopped writing and fixed his gaze on me. I don't like to beat around the bush. You can state your terms. I want you to give me the top traffic spot for 1 year. If I can drive traffic to your app, the same terms will apply for the following year. Within 3 years, Julian's app would break the market monopoly and become one of the top 3. As long as I could secure the top traffic spot, the subsequent profits would be guaranteed. It seems you all want this top traffic spot. Julian looked at me with a half smile. Us? I smiled faintly. What terms did Luna offer you? Her. At the mention of Luna, a look of disdain crossed Julian's face. She boasted that she could help me drive traffic and become number 1. You didn't agree? It was a statement, not a question. Julian neither nodded nor shook his head, simply tapping on the contract. We'll sign it as you've stated. I want to see results within 3 months. Okay. With the deal sealed, a weight lifted from my shoulders. As I was leaving the Fairchild Corporation, I ran into a dolled-up Luna. Chapter 32. What are you doing here? Luna's eyes were filled with hostility. Spotting the contract in my hand, she snatched it without a word. Then, her voice was shrill and piercing. You want to partner with the Fairchilds? As if venting her frustration, she tore the contract in half. I didn't stop her. It wasn't the final contract anyway. The legal department would have to draft a new one, so I wasn't in a hurry. Serena Sterling, Do you really think you can have it as easy as you did in your past life? I'm telling you, I'm the Fairchild daughter-in-law now. Julian's app will feature me first? Oh, I nodded calmly. That's great. Julian is upstairs. You can go talk to him. Luna's expression twisted. She had clearly just been rejected. Julian looked down on her. If it weren't for her marriage into the Fairchild family, he probably wouldn't have even bothered to speak to her. Did he agree to your proposal? Luna's tone grew colder. I smiled faintly. What I'm doing doesn't conflict with you. If you really want it, then let's compete on our own merits. There's no point in making empty threats here. Of course, I'll crush you with my own abilities. As if remembering something, a triumphant look crossed Luna's face. The Azure Smoke starts filming in a month. When this drama becomes a hit, Aiden will be the vice president of the Fairchild Corporation, and I will be the vice president's wife, with an annual dividend you couldn't earn in several lifetimes. Don't you always say that hard work is the most important thing? I'm telling you, some things are destined. A wrong choice is a wrong choice. Luna's words made me laugh. I thought of a song. Haven't you heard it? What? 3 parts destiny, 7 parts hard work. If you blame everything on fate, then fate is getting a bad rap. There's no such thing as a guaranteed successful choice. Luna and I had lived completely different lives. Even though I had been the sterling heiress from the beginning, I was still treated as a tool by the family. I had seemingly married the somewhat wealthy Aiden, but our marriage was a mess, and nothing went right. A good start means nothing without hard work and seizing opportunities. Chapter 33, I took a cab to the studio. The studio had gradually expanded, and I had used my old connections to hire many trustworthy partners. It was lunchtime when I arrived. Senior Serena. A young man in a black suit greeted me. I looked at my best friend. She introduced him, Sam Evans, the male lead of this drama. Not bad, right? I've already tried him in a costume, and he looks great. He's perfect for the next drama, too. I looked at the man again. He was indeed handsome. I had given my best friend full authority over casting, and with her eye for male models, she rarely made a bad choice. You don't remember me, Senior Serena? I was in the same department as you in college. Sam Evans walked over, a smile on his face. I racked my brain, but my entire college life had been spent chasing business opportunities. I barely knew my own classmates, let alone a junior. It's okay, it's been a long time. It's normal that you don't remember me, even though I had a huge crush on you in college. Sam Evans's smile widened. Putting aside everything else with his looks, a single video could easily go viral on social media. I'm sorry, I have a bad memory. I gave a polite smile. Sam Evans seemed to want to say more, but the director called his name, and he had to hurry off. I handed my best friend a bubble tea, my eyes following Sam Evans's retreating figure, a slight frown on my face. What, you like this type too? My best friend was serious. Even though you're married, as long as I'm in the know, I can accept anything. Stop, let's talk business. I quickly shut down my best friend's wild imagination. She immediately got back to business. I've received a few good scripts. Take a look and we can decide later. Oh, and the funding from Mr. Vance has arrived. I looked at the scripts in front of me. Suddenly, I was hit with a wave of work aversion. I didn't want to work. Luna was wrong about one thing. I don't believe that hard work is the most important thing. But if I don't work hard, my life will be controlled by others. I just don't want to be that person. After another long day of work, most of the studio staff had left. I had just finished reviewing the contract with Leo and shut down my computer when an unexpected visitor appeared in my office. Still working, Serena? Aiden sauntered in. Is there something you need? I closed my laptop. Aiden smiled and looked me up and down, his gaze lingering on my chest. I never realized how beautiful you are. What a shame. Well, thank you very much. In my past life, I was so afraid of my ugly husband coming home that I dressed very plainly. Unless it was for work, I rarely even wore makeup. It was the same in this life. Compared to Luna's elaborate efforts, I was like a simple bowl of porridge. It was only at that banquet that I wore a backless halter dress. And that was what had attracted this lecherous man. In the end, this man was just a slave to his lust. Whenever he saw a beautiful woman, he wanted to have her. I couldn't be bothered with Aiden's sexual harassment and tried to walk past him. Serena Sterling, I'm serious. You have no future with Ethan anyway. It's hard for a girl to be out on her own. Why don't you be my mistress? I can help you with your work." He blocked my path and, thinking he was charming, adjusted his tie. My expression hardened with impatience, and I didn't hold back my words. "You're really something, third young master. Are you addicted to being a public urinal? Sorry, but I'm not interested in filth." "Who the hell are you calling filth? Don't be so ungrateful. It's an honor for you that I'm even interested." Aiden was furious, his face darkening. He grabbed my shoulder. I was about to reach for the pepper spray in my bag when I saw a figure. A fist clenched tightly, flew towards Aiden. Chapter 34. I looked up. Ethan. He had arrived in a hurry, his black shirt still damp from the rain outside, his slightly longer hair plastered to his forehead. He stood in front of me, shielding me. I could only see his profile. His eyes were narrowed, a fierce glint in them. His jaw was clenched, and the veins on the back of his hand bulged with rage. "Ethan Coleman, are you trying to die?" Aiden, barely recovering, cursed back. But the next second, Ethan lifted him up. Grabbing him by the collar, he threw another punch. Again and again. "Who gave you permission to touch her?" "Damn it, she's just a woman, I'll give you some money." Big deal, another hard punch, and I thought I saw one of Aiden's teeth fly out. Aiden went from cursing to barely conscious, his eyes squeezed shut. "I was wrong, Ethan, stop, I won't touch her again, okay?" He was just a spoiled brat who knew nothing but a life of luxury. He was no match for a trained fighter like Ethan. And Ethan was relentless, his imposing figure towering over Aiden, his aura cold and menacing. "Ethan!" I quickly called out to him. The man slowly turned his head, his eyes still filled with a terrifying rage. This was the first time I had seen this side of him. Like a furious beast, ready to tear its enemy to shreds. In a daze, I saw a scene I had never witnessed before. A rainy day, Ethan dressed in all black, holding a black umbrella. He walked slowly, then suddenly threw the umbrella at Aiden. "You killed her," the image flashed by, so quickly I couldn't react. The Ethan in front of me seemed to be the same one from the vision, his eyes cold and terrifying. But as his gaze met mine, he desperately suppressed his anger, slowly regaining his composure. "If you keep hitting him, he'll die." I took Ethan's hand. Aiden was in the wrong, and the office had security cameras. Even if it got back to the Fairchilds, they would know they were in the wrong. But if he killed him, the story would be completely different. Ethan's body was still tense, his eyes filled with a lingering rage that wouldn't subside. I gently stroked his palm, my voice softening. "I think the rain has stopped. I want to go home." Ethan looked at me, his eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions. He took my hand, and his foot, which was on Aiden's chest, finally relaxed. I took the opportunity to kick Aiden once more, then pulled Ethan away. "I'm hungry, Ethan. I want to eat your cooking." Ethan's gaze was fixed on me, and finally his eyes softened. "Okay." Chapter 35. The warm, yellow pendant light cast a gentle glow. I held my bowl, truly famished. Ethan had been silent since we got back, just watching me intently. It wasn't until I had finished eating and showered that he pushed me onto the bed. "Were you scared?" I nodded, then shook my head. "He didn't do anything to me." There were security guards outside. Even if the pepper spray didn't work, he wouldn't have been able to do anything. Ethan was still staring at me. I almost got into a car accident on the way here. No wonder the front bumper had a few scratches. "Are you okay?" I looked him over. He had changed into a simple black t-shirt, and I couldn't see any injuries. I reached under his shirt, running my hands over his chest and abs, and was relieved to find no wounds. It was raining heavily when I was driving." Ethan seemed lost in his own thoughts, his gaze distant. "Serena Sterling." He pulled me into his arms, his strong arms trembling. "I think I saw you die." I was stunned. His warm chin rested on my shoulder, his voice trembling. "I think I couldn't even find your body." Memories of my past life flooded back. The vast, endless ocean. In the face of nature's power, even the most powerful people are helpless. But Ethan shouldn't have known about those things. "What else did you see?" I cautiously probed. He just held me tighter. "That's all." So that's why he had lost control. I didn't ask any more questions. There are too many things in this world that can't be explained. Like my and Luna's rebirth. Like the vision that had flashed before my eyes just a moment ago, a scene I had never witnessed before. After what felt like an eternity, Ethan's breathing evened out. He shifted his position, still holding me tightly. I held back. "Aiden won't die." But Aiden would probably hold a grudge. Ethan gently stroked my hair, the pressure just right. My mind drifted and I couldn't help but ask, Ethan, have you been in love with me for a long time? The hand on my hair paused. Ethan's brow furrowed slightly. I thought you already knew. Chapter 36. I didn't sleep well that night. I dreamt of being 16 again. At that time, I was suffering from severe period cramps and messed up my math exam, only ranking 50th in my grade. I still remember my adoptive parents slapping me hard across the face. Serena Sterling, you remember you are not our daughter. We are raising you to bring us glory. With grades like these, we can disown you at any time. After years of suppression, I finally snapped. You don't have to raise me. I can go to an orphanage. If you're only keeping me to use me, then I'd rather you disown me. Another hard slap. My resistance was weak and laughable to them. Finally, I was exhausted, my knees aching from kneeling on the floor. My adoptive mother looked at me coldly. Go back to the orphanage. Do you know what happens to the children there? If you're lucky, you get adopted by an ordinary family and live a normal life. If you're unlucky, you end up with some pervert. Serena Sterling, you'll be even more miserable. I had heard the stories. Some people adopt children for their own selfish reasons. Compared to the Sterlings, who were openly using me, the unknown was far more terrifying. I stopped resisting and knelt on the floor, copying the wrong answers over and over again, until the sky brightened and the sun hung high in the sky. A handsome young man appeared at the door. Auntie Sterling, I'd like to take Serena to the amusement park. The Sterlings and the Colemans were old family friends. In the past, the old Mr. Sterling had received a lot of help from the Colemans. Although my engagement to Ethan was a half-joke, my adoptive mother was indeed raising me as the future Mrs. Coleman. She wanted to use me to get close to the Colemans. Faced with the young, already pre-admitted to college Ethan, my adoptive mother's voice softened. Ethan, dear, Serena doesn't want to go. She has to study. I won't let her fall behind in her studies. Auntie Sterling, the car is waiting outside. Ethan walked in slowly. When his eyes fell on me kneeling, he quickly looked away. He silently preserved my last shred of dignity. That day, Ethan practically carried me out of the house. My teenage pride had been shattered by 2 slaps and a night of kneeling. And Ethan had lied. He didn't take me to the amusement park. He took me to his home. In his cool, toned room, he knelt before me, his expression calm, and gently applied medicine to my bruised knees. He didn't say a word the whole time. I was the first to break the silence. Thank you. It's nothing, you should get some rest. I looked at the young man's cool, handsome face and a teenage crush warmed my ears. I admit it. I had a crush on Ethan back then. A blossoming love, a cool, brilliant young man. It was all very natural. Does it still hurt? Sensing my discomfort, Ethan bent down again. He had already gone through puberty, and his voice was no longer the high-pitched tone of a boy, but a deep, cool, and rich baritone. I shook my head and looked away. Ethan was well developed. He was 2 years older than me, and at 18, he was already 6'1". He was very popular. Many girls at school wrote him love letters. But Ethan was cool and distant, and he treated everyone with the same indifference. Only I, thanks to our parents' relationship, was seen as the exception in his life. I think my adoptive mother was right about one thing. Compared to being adopted by a more terrifying family, I was already in the best possible situation. I was in the upper echelons of society, exposed to things that ordinary people would never experience, and I received the best education. With every gain, there is a loss. The world is fair. Chapter 37. A sudden warmth that wasn't my own spread over me. I slowly woke from my endless dream. Ethan's warm fingers wiped the fine beads of sweat from my forehead. Seeing me awake, he lowered his gaze. Did you have a nightmare? Not really. I shook my head. I had just dreamt of some things from the past, and the boy I once had a crush on. His cool, handsome face was just inches away as he knelt before me. It wasn't a nightmare. Ethan didn't press and quickly got up. What do you want to eat? I watched his retreating figure. He was much taller than he had been as a boy, and his once somewhat frail frame had become much more reliable. Just some porridge. I don't have much of an appetite. Okay, wait a minute. Ethan put on a t-shirt, then turned back to me and gently kissed my forehead. Last night's events were over. He wasn't the type to pry for answers, nor did he care if his love was reciprocated. Such a good young man, how did I fall out of love with him? I thought back. It wasn't that I had fallen out of love. It was just a teenage crush. After the Colemans went bankrupt, my snobbish adoptive parents didn't let me see Ethan much. Then, in college, the pressure on me grew. The Sterlings will never give anything to an outsider like you. You either marry a rich playboy and bring us benefits, or you get out after graduation. My adoptive parents cut me off financially. To them, raising an outsider to adulthood was the extent of their responsibility. I had no choice but to work part-time from my freshman year. I had been harassed by customers and almost assaulted on my way back to campus at night. And at that time, Ethan was just like me. No longer the golden boy in everyone's eyes, he was fighting against a cruel fate. I saw him once, the year he graduated from college. The boy had completely shed his youthful innocence. He was leaning against a peeling wall, a cigarette in his hand, white smoke slowly drifting from his thin lips. It partially obscured his face. He was completely different from the Ethan I remembered. My steps faltered, and I looked at him in a daze. After a long moment, I spoke. "Ethan, going back to campus?" Ethan stubbed out his cigarette and threw it into a nearby trash can. "I'll walk you." That was the first time we had seen each other since the Colemans went bankrupt. He, who was usually so quiet, offered to walk me to my dorm. We didn't say a word the whole way. Neither did I. We weren't talkative people, and with the years of distance and the weight of reality and pressure, any so-called teenage crushes and affections had been completely buried. He walked me to the slope in front of my dorm and stopped. I looked back at him. Ethan was standing just outside the streetlight. Backlit, his expression was dark and unclear, and the streetlight stretched his shadow long. "Serena Sterling." He spoke first. I instinctively replied, "What is it?" He was silent again. After a long time, he slowly turned away. "Nothing. Go on back." Chapter 38. A steaming bowl of millet porridge was placed in front of me, along with a few buns Ethan had bought downstairs. I, who had had no appetite, suddenly felt hungry. I took a few sips of porridge and looked at Ethan. He and the man under the streetlight from that year blurred together again. "What's wrong?" Ethan handed me a peeled egg. I didn't take it, but bit into it from his hand. "That year, under the streetlight in front of my dorm, what did you want to say?" Ethan's eyes flickered, as if he too was drawn back into a distant memory. Finally, he just shook his head. "It doesn't matter anymore. When a wish has been fulfilled, there's no point in dwelling on the what-ifs of the past." After breakfast, Ethan drove to his clubhouse. It seemed a lot of parts had arrived today in preparation for the big race next month, and I received a call from Luna demanding an explanation. "Serena Sterling, do you know who Aiden is now? If anything happens, you and Ethan couldn't afford to pay with your lives." I held the phone and walked outside. "Is Aiden dead?" "Who's dead?" "You're dead." Luna was furious. I became even calmer. "If he's not dead, why are you so worked up? Why don't you mind your own husband instead of coming to me to cause trouble?" She only dared to be arrogant with me, which meant that this couple knew that this matter couldn't be brought out into the open. Luna was at a loss for words. Her voice turned cold as she threatened, "Serena Sterling, don't forget that Ethan is your husband in this life. You're eating from your own bowl while looking at another's. Aiden is not someone you can seduce." The phone was abruptly hung up, leaving me in a state of shock. Has her brain been eaten by zombies? How could she be so delusional as to think I'd be interested in Aiden? I'd run from a man like that. She must be completely insane to treat him like a treasure. I put away my phone and went to the studio. The casting for The Azure Smoke was already a hot topic. At Luna's behest, Aiden had released a sensational headline. The Azure Smoke will feature two veteran actors, the award-winning actress L and the award-winning actor M. The comments below pushed the yet-to-be-filmed drama to the top of the trending list. "OMG, I've been waiting for this pair for 5 years. Are they finally collaborating? Which platform? I'm pre-ordering my membership now. I've read the original novel. It's amazing. If they can film it according to the original, I'm definitely watching. Ah, is it really this pair? OMG, OMG. I heard they're secretly married and have been avoiding even being on the same stage together. If you can really get them to collaborate, you're my god." A hit before it was even filmed. Luna had learned this trick well. In the past, for this drama, and to help that useless Aiden gain some standing in the Fairchild family to support my career, I had been creating buzz and investing a lot of money from the very beginning of filming. For the casting alone, I had scoured various platforms for reader polls on their dream cast for the drama. After considering their image, acting skills, and everything else, I had finally chosen this pair of talented actors with great chemistry who had never collaborated before. But as the netizens said, this pair was already secretly married and had never appeared on stage together. To secure this deal, I had tried everything, and it took 3 months of persuasion with the script and my sincerity before they finally agreed. And now, with less than a month to go, Luna was already hyping it up online, as if she were using public opinion to force them to accept the roles. Knowing their personalities, they would never agree to this drama. Chapter 39. I went to my studio. A hot cup of bubble tea was already on my desk. Sam Evans bought it for you. He said you've been working hard lately and need a treat. My best friend walked in from outside, leaning against the door and yawning. Hey, this kid is being unusually attentive. Up to no good, I shook my head and ignored her. Is he confirmed? I just picked up my hot water. I've been cutting back on sugar lately. Bubble tea is fattening, so I should drink less of it. The contract for the next one is already signed. We'll start filming right after. My best friend handed me the contract, resting her head on her hand, and said seriously, the short-form drama market is starting to take off. In the future, in terms of quality, then we'll have to be creative. I tapped on the desk and sent a file to the screenwriter's email. This is a compilation of the most requested short-form drama genres from various platforms, based on user feedback. My best friend stared at the summary, silent for a moment. Isn't it a bit cheesy? That's the point, I chuckled. Ordinary cheesiness isn't appealing, but extreme cheesiness is another story. And for this genre, you need to find a suitable writer to commission a script. All right, my best friend nodded. Several scripts had appeared in my inbox, all carefully selected. I read through them all, and by the time I was done, it was already evening. I told Ethan he didn't need to pick me up and ordered takeout at the studio. Knock, knock, a knock on the door. Come in. The door opened, and Sam Evans stood there with a takeout container, a faint smile on his face. Senior Serena, you haven't eaten yet, have you? I ordered some stir-fry. No, thank you, I've already ordered. I showed him the order confirmation on my phone. A look of disappointment crossed Sam Evans's face, but he spoke again in a gentle voice. Senior Serena, you're just like you were in college. I looked at him again, racking my brain, but I couldn't remember him at all. I'm sorry, my memory from college isn't very good, so I don't really remember. Sam Evans shook his head. It's okay, I only saw you a few times at the debate competitions. You were just as impressive then as you are now. I was silent again. I had participated in many debate competitions. Perhaps Sam Evans was one of the debaters, but it was so long ago that I couldn't possibly remember. You're doing well now too. The short-form drama market will continue to be popular for a while. Seize the opportunity and make money. Sam Evans nodded. I know. I just didn't expect to see you again, Senior. After all, I used to have a crush on you. Chapter 40. When I got home, Ethan wasn't back yet. It was already 10 o'clock and he rarely came home this late. A friend request was sitting on my phone, from Sam Evans. Sam Evans? Teacher Jiang, please don't misunderstand. It was just a schoolboy crush. Now my goal is the same as yours, to make money. I accepted the request. I sent a smiley face emoji in a professional manner. A message popped up from Leo. A piece of gossip for a piece of gossip. When I first met Leo, he had a certain air of seriousness about him. But as we got to know each other better, I realized he was even more of a playboy than the rumors suggested. Not only did he love to eat, drink, and be merry, but he was also an avid gossip. Leo, you have to tell me what happened yesterday. That scoundrel Aiden sent people to cause trouble at the garage, but they were kicked out by that guy from the Gu family. But there's no smoke without fire. Something must have happened that I don't know about. So, Leo, picture. The photo showed Ethan just after a race, wearing a loose black t-shirt and getting out of his car. In front of him, a slender hand held a large bouquet of roses, and only half of a beautiful face was visible. For some reason, a strange feeling welled up inside me, as if something that belonged to me was suddenly being coveted by someone else. Leo, wanna know today's gossip? We can trade? No, I replied to Leo with a blank expression. The sound of a key turning in the lock came from outside. A tall, slender man appeared at the door. The smell of alcohol filled the air. Ethan looked at me and casually placed his keys on the cabinet by the door. His dark, deep eyes were visibly moist. As he walked towards me, the smell of alcohol grew stronger. Ethan rarely drank. Probably because of his profession, even at unavoidable gatherings, he would drink tea instead of alcohol. "I don't know how to make hangover soup. Should I order some for you?" As I said this, I realized there probably weren't any places nearby that made hangover soup. "Not right now." Ethan came forward and hugged me. "I got a designated driver. I had to drink because that guy from the Goo family was there, and I had to give him face. I had a little too much, but I'm not drunk." I was stunned. I couldn't describe the feeling in my heart. "You don't have to explain. I said before, we don't interfere in each other's work." That was the agreement from the beginning. The arms around me tightened, and Ethan's breathing grew heavier. Then he suddenly bit my neck. He didn't hold back. The sudden pain made me wince. "Ethan, you—" After his outburst, Ethan came to his senses. His warm lips and tongue gently kissed the bite mark on my neck. It was as if he was trying to comfort me, but there was something else in his touch. "Miss Zhang, from the Naniao Pharmaceutical Factory, gave me a bouquet of roses today." He lifted me up and placed me on the dining table, which was just the right height. His dark eyes were fixed on me, and his warm breath, heavy with the smell of alcohol, fanned across my face. I turned my head away, feeling a little uncomfortable. "I know. That's all?" Ethan's brow furrowed even more. As if annoyed, his rough palms slid across my waist, pinching me lightly in a punishing way. His lips claimed mine, his kiss fierce and possessive, as if he wanted to devour me. Hot sweat beaded on my forehead, and Ethan's masculine scent filled the small space around me. Until my mouth was filled with the taste of alcohol, he gently held my chin. Serena Sterling, Aren't You Jealous? Chapter 41. After that night, Ethan and I had our first Cold War. Well, not exactly a Cold War. My attitude towards him was the same, but he seemed to be holding a fire inside, and his attitude towards me was extremely cold. I tried to be conciliatory for a few days, but Ethan was a stubborn man. He either didn't get angry, or when he did, it was like a volcanic eruption, uncontrollable. "Senior Serena," Sam Evans's face suddenly appeared in front of me again. It was already after work, and at 9 o'clock, even my best friend and the film crew had left. I was exhausted and leaned back on the sofa. I had been running around all day, negotiating various deals, and I was too tired to even lift a finger. "Why haven't you left yet?" "I was about to, but I saw you were still here, so I thought I'd stay with you for a while." I closed my eyes and didn't say anything. I just wanted to wait for Ethan to come. Suddenly, a pair of unfamiliar hands rested on my shoulders, massaging them gently. I shot my eyes open and looked at Sam Evans. He, however, had a look of such tenderness in his eyes that it could drown a person. "I just saw that you were so tired, Senior Serena, so I wanted to give you a shoulder rub." "I don't need it." I coldly pulled away. In my peripheral vision, I saw a tall, masculine figure appear in the half-open office door. "Ethan." "Just now," I instinctively started to explain. But Ethan just glanced at Sam Evans, who was standing beside me, and draped his jacket over my shoulders. "Let's go home, okay." Ethan, with a stony expression, drove me home. The car stopped, and he didn't even give me a chance to walk. He carried me upstairs and pressed me onto the sofa. "Does he like you?" "He used to have a crush on me, but now it's just a professional relationship." I answered truthfully, although Sam Evans had been hanging around me a lot more lately. He would either bring me sugar-free coffee or chat with me during breaks about our college days, which I couldn't remember at all. His advances were so obvious that everyone in the studio knew. Something was up. I've always been level-headed when it comes to relationships, and I don't believe that a college crush can last this long. In the adult world, relationships are mostly based on self-interest. So, a cold glint flashed in my eyes. I don't know what I said that angered Ethan, but his eyes were as dark as a stormy sky. His emotions were in turmoil, a mix of many unknown and complex feelings. In the end, he just silently prepared dinner for me, and continued this Cold War that had started for no reason. "Eat your dinner." His well-proportioned fingers tapped on my simple dining table, and a hot plate of food was placed in front of me. I took a sip of my yogurt and studied the man before me. Ethan, can you please not be angry? I'm not angry. Ethan's tone was indifferent. Liar. He had been so cold these past few days, and just now, he was a jealous mess. He was clearly furious. I wasn't giving up. I added, I'm in the mood for something spicy tonight. Chapter 42, Ethan didn't even blink. I'm in the mood for something bland lately. I don't want anything spicy. I steeled myself. I ignored the hot food and sat on Ethan's lap. Why are you angry? Ethan's gaze was intense. Although his expression was cold, he carefully held my waist, afraid I would fall. Serena Sterling, in your heart, has this marriage always been disposable? I was silent. I didn't know how to answer. Ethan suddenly bit my lip hard. A soft sigh escaped between our lips. Forget it, this is enough. Ethan had conceded, but at that, my heart clenched. As proud as Ethan was, even though he was no longer the golden boy he once was, he shouldn't be so wronged in this relationship. I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed his cheek. Actually, I was a little jealous. Ethan, this marriage is very important to me now. As soon as the words left my mouth, a hot kiss claimed my lips. He wrapped my legs around his waist, and with ease, he lifted me up and pressed me onto the bed. His calloused fingers slid up my thigh, and the heat of his touch ignited a fire within me. I suddenly remembered the day the Sterlings had brought up the marriage again. Ethan had stood at their door, a rare sight, in a slightly worn black suit, his gaze cool. He had looked at me but had been silent for a long time. Ethan. I eagerly met his advances, my teeth gently grazing his earlobe. In the future, if you like someone, you have to be proactive, you know? Ethan's movements suddenly stopped, and then I was hit with a storm of passion. There is no future. There is only you. Chapter 43. After that night, the ice between Ethan and me was broken. Julian's app was launched as scheduled, and with the Fairchild's extensive promotion, it achieved great success on its first day. My second short-form drama was also exclusively licensed to Julian. When it was released, a wave of promotion on other short video platforms drove a surge in downloads of Julian's app. For several days, its popularity remained high. And at this time, the online slander against me resurfaced. Reborn in 2020, producer Serena Sterling harasses new actor My Name was once again all over various apps. Normally, I was behind the scenes and not very well known. But after being dragged into the spotlight by Luna several times, I was now a semi-celebrity. Serena Sterling, Sam Evans, Serena Sterling, Julian Fairchild, all sorts of familiar names were linked to mine. It wasn't just photos. Photos and videos of my interactions with Sam Evans at the studio were taken from all sorts of strange angles to make them look incredibly intimate. Especially the 15-second clip of Sam Evans massaging my shoulders, which was made into a GIF. Rich producer of hit short-form drama exposed for exploiting new actor. And the whistleblower had thoughtfully included proof of my marriage. A new round of cyberbullying was directed at me. The woman who had usurped the real Sterling heiress's position, cheating on her husband, bullying and sexually harassing a new male actor, using her body to secure deals. Even some people who claimed to be my former classmates came forward. Serena Sterling, I know her. She was a bit of a delinquent in school. I don't know how she got into college. I know, right? My cousin was in her class. She said she bullied her classmates. And besides, wasn't it already confirmed that she's a fake heiress? And she bullied that live streamer, Luna. Does the internet really have no memory? She's already made a fortune from that short-form drama, over $50 million in a month. The main thing is, she's married and she's using her power to harass a new male actor. That poor actor. Yeah, that actor, Sam Evans, has already spoken out. I really feel for him. I clicked on the link. Sam Evans was better at social media than I was. He had registered his account a few months ago and had been posting selfies regularly. With his good looks and a few well-angled, atmospheric photos, he had already gained over 100,000 followers. And his pinned post from this morning had once again turned public opinion against me. Thank you all for your support. Some unfortunate things have happened recently, and I've decided to take a break to travel and enjoy life. He didn't name any names, but it was another form of confirmation. The comment section of the new short-form drama was filled with insults. Although the traffic had reached a new high that day, Julian's app was also being flooded with malicious reviews. Anyone who would partner with a woman like that is no good either. Scumbag and slut, disgusting, and they still want to take our money. This garbage should be taken down immediately. At the same time, other short video apps were using this as a way to drive traffic, subtly and not so subtly criticizing me. The short-form drama market had already begun, and I was no longer the only one. They were launching other dramas, determined to crush me. And Julian had also called to demand an explanation. Miss Sterling, the contract clearly states that if your personal actions cause negative publicity, you will not only have to pay 3 times the damages, but I can also terminate the partnership at any time. Julian was a ruthless, self-serving businessman. I knew that, and so did Luna. Now that I was under attack from all sides, if Julian were to terminate our contract, even if my short-form drama had had good numbers, how many people would still be willing to help me? Mr. Fairchild, would you like to make a bet? I held the warm water cup, my tone serious. Julian, bet on what? Bet that I can get through this unscathed. Bet that your Joy Flicks can become one of the top 3 in the industry. Chapter 14. The online drama unfolded quickly. In just one day, my studio entrance was vandalized with paint 3 times. Luna's call came in coincidentally. Oh, Serena, what's going on? How did you get into such a huge scandal? Mom and Dad were just talking about you in the group chat, telling you to come home and explain yourself. I listened to the overly dramatic voice on the other end with a chuckle. Luna, there's no need to pretend with me. Sam Evans is your high school classmate who has been in love with you for years. Was it really necessary to stage such a drama? I don't know what you're talking about. I've been so busy with my live stream lately that even major international brands want to partner with me. You said live streaming was hard, but I don't think it's that bad. You were just luckier than me in the beginning. Millions in sales in one night, isn't that much better than your silly little drama? Yes, well, I wish you continued success. I hung up. In front of me was a piece of evidence that I had gone to great lengths to obtain. After 2 cyberbullying attacks, I had to give Luna a little something in return. How dare that old woman harass people? And she still wants to make money off us. Disgusting. Whether it's a man or a woman, harassment is a death sentence. Serena Sterling, why don't you just die? Ethan's car had just stopped when a few sharp-eyed netizens who had been waiting started to hurl insults at me. A click came from beside me. Ethan had unbuckled his seatbelt. Don't be rash. I quickly grabbed his hand. He looked at me, his thin lips pressed into a tight line, a terrifying coldness in his eyes. Someone is behind this. I know. I can help you. Ethan looked at me as if waiting for my nod. I unbuckled my seatbelt as well and looked at him seriously. I can handle this. Even though I was married, I was still Serena Sterling. I don't need to rely on a man to solve my problems. Ethan's brow furrowed. Finally, a soft sigh broke the silence in the car. I'll walk you to your office. Before I could answer, Ethan got out of the car. The netizens who had been shouting from a distance were stunned when they saw him. Is that Serena Sterling's husband? Damn, she has a husband that handsome and she's still cheating? Who knows? How can we possibly understand the mind of a promiscuous woman? Serena Sterling, get out here, you slut. I don't hit women. Ethan opened the car door for me with one hand and thoughtfully placed the other on the door frame to shield my head. He turned his head, his gaze falling on a few young women, his imposing aura suddenly on full display. But don't push me. Chapter 45. His eyes were cold, and his recently cut hair, now a buzz cut, made him look exceptionally clean-cut. After scanning the group of gossiping young women, he looked at me. Let's go. With Ethan by my side, the young women didn't dare to cause any more trouble. After a few muttered curses, they were dispersed by security. Yeah, I'm almost there. After escorting me to my office, Leo called. It must have been urgent. According to Leo, there was an important race in the community in a few days. Although Ethan wasn't participating, he had to be busy with the modifications of these second-generation rich kids' cars, and his time was limited. After hanging up, Ethan looked at me and I quickly added, I'm fine here. Okay, wait for me to pick you up. Ethan left in a hurry. Not long after he left, I opened Luna's live stream. Her product promotion career was in full swing, and she was even preparing to launch her own brand with Aiden. Aiden, on the other hand, was facing repeated setbacks. It was said that the production of the Azure Smoke was at a standstill because they couldn't secure the popular secretly married couple, and Aiden's abilities were lacking. Forced by Luna to take on the Fairchild family's project, he not only messed up 2 or 3 projects, but also made Julian even more displeased with him. I've actually checked on Serena, but she doesn't really like me, so I don't know the details. Serena, she's married. Although their relationship isn't great, I don't think she would do something like that. Her and Big Brother, I've seen them having dinner together often, but I don't know anything else. Please don't spread rumors. I believe Serena is not that kind of person. Luna continued to play the victim, pretending to be concerned about me while secretly hoping I would be convicted of these scandals. Damn it, I thought he was some innocent puppy, but he's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. My best friend stormed in from outside, slamming a stack of files on the table. I can't reach him. He finished filming yesterday and disappeared today. Don't worry. I smiled and handed her a USB drive. What's this? My best friend was confused. A little something for someone. Chapter 46. Just as the chorus of accusations against me reached its peak, the internet witnessed a stunning reversal. Luna's fake persona Luna sells counterfeit goods Luna and Sam Evans the real and fake heiress. A palace drama my best friend, following my instructions, released the information bit by bit. It started with a video of Luna sitting in a high-end salon getting her nails done. Her assistant was chatting with her. I'm not trying those products. They're beneath me. What fans? To put it bluntly, they're just idiots giving me money. I thought live streaming would be hard, but all you have to do is play the victim, create a persona, and pretend to lower the prices, and those netizens will eagerly throw money at you. Later, I should really let that Serena Sterling see. So what if she was the Sterling heiress for over 20 years? She's still not as good as me, born into wealth. This video sent Luna's fans and the netizens who had been following the drama into a frenzy. The torrent of abuse shifted from me to Luna. Damn it, I was so blind I even recommended this Luna to my best friend. I can't believe she's this kind of person. Haha, I always thought this Luna was weird. Don't you think she's a two-faced trout? It's no surprise she's been exposed. It's disgusting. She takes our money and then looks down on us. How can someone like her still be allowed to make money? Official TikTok, if you don't ban her account, I'll report it every day. While Luna's name was trending, I calmly released the rest of the evidence. One was a conversation between Luna and Aiden. It's so annoying. That new brand, a bottle of serum costs $500 or $600, and I can sell it out in minutes, but I only get a $20 or $30 commission. Aiden, don't you know someone who makes skincare products? We could just make something with similar ingredients and make a profit of $300 or $400 per bottle. Not only that, but I also dug up Sam Evans's confession of love to Luna from the school forum 7 or 8 years ago, as well as a recent photo of Luna and Sam Evans meeting. With all this evidence, Luna's side completely fell apart. It wasn't just the overwhelming public opinion online, even the relevant authorities got involved. And the matter of me and Sam Evans was cleared up without me having to say a word. Was it you? Luna's voice on the other end of the phone was broken, yet sharp and piercing. Are you trying to kill me? You bitch, I should have killed you from the beginning. I calmly watched the tide of public opinion turn and sighed. I never wanted to hurt you. But Luna, I'm not one to be trifled with. I had given Luna many chances. If she had just behaved herself, we could have both shone in our respective fields. But she couldn't stand to see me succeed. A narrow-minded person is destined to fail. Chapter 47. After the public opinion reversed, I immediately struck while the iron was hot and posted a statement on social media. I explained the origin of the photos and videos in detail, with evidence, and attached some chat logs. There was no sexual harassment. Someone set me up and I broke the trap, that's all. I don't have many followers, but I knew that the drama-loving netizens would share my post on various platforms. For some reason, I was trending again. But this time, it wasn't with insults and abuse. Serena Sterling. The fake heiress's success story. Can I finally speak up? I was Serena Sterling's high school classmate, and I have the graduation photo to prove it. The Sterlings were never good to her. They never came to parent-teacher conferences. I once saw her being hit by them just because her grades dropped a few points. Later, I saw Serena Sterling once at a bubble tea shop in college. She was working part-time. I heard that the Sterlings cut her off financially when she turned 18. It's not true that the fake heiress lived a life of luxury. She's always been very hardworking. She participated in many competitions in college, and she didn't rely on the Sterlings to start her short-form drama business. Although we weren't close, I really admire a girl like her. She also attached our high school graduation photo and even my grade rankings for all 3 years. The school had an honor roll. Anyone in the top 50 would have their photo and name on it. In the 3 years that I was used as a pawn by the Sterlings, I grew wildly, using my grades to pave the way for my future. Every honor roll was a testament to my hard work. With the evidence laid out, all the netizens who had once criticized me fell silent. So it's this Serena Sterling. I worked with her at a bubble tea shop when I was a senior. She dressed very plainly and didn't have any money. Was she really the Sterling heiress? That's so sad. I'm so sorry, I used to hate on you. You're my idol. The fake heiress's comeback all on her own. OMG, a huge reversal. You all believed everything that two-faced Luna said. She's so fake in her live streams. I checked, and the official website sells the products cheaper than she does. Over the course of a day, Luna's PR team was in a frenzy, issuing various apologies, but the netizens were not buying it. At 10 o'clock that night, Luna went live. She tried to play the victim again, to feign ignorance and get away with it. I admit I was careless with my words, but the counterfeit products were the company's fault. I had no choice. I'm so sorry, everyone. It was my fault this time. I'll be sure to reflect on my actions in the future. But with the evidence against her, and the fact that she was making money off consumers while mocking them for being stupid, she had crossed a line. The comments section was flooded with angry messages. Haha, what a two-faced trout. If you're so sorry, why don't you just die? You've had product issues before, and now you're trying to sell fakes. Aren't you afraid of karma? How dare you still show your face? You didn't have your real parents around when you were growing up, so you have no manners. Go to hell, Luna. The comments became more and more vicious. As a flood of consumers poured in, the live stream was reported, and Luna's account was eventually banned by the platform. She had used the internet as a weapon to try and crush me. But the Serena Sterling of my past life knew better than anyone the power of public opinion. The several brands that had partnered with Luna also quickly issued statements, announcing that they would no longer be working with her. Suddenly, she was all alone. Aren't you tired of looking at your phone? Warm fingers gently massaged my temples. I closed my eyes in contentment and leaned back, naturally settling into Ethan's embrace. The man was wearing only a tank top, and the thin fabric did little to hide his firm physique. The summers in this city were too long. Even in October, it was still unbearably hot. A little tired. I blinked my sore eyes, and Ethan's arms wrapped around my waist. His deep voice was in my ear. After this busy period, take a vacation. I turned my head in confusion. Ethan placed a travel brochure in my lap. Take a look. Is there anywhere you want to go? It listed various tourist destinations, both domestic and international. I was even more confused, and I snuggled into his arms with a smile. What, you want to take a break from work? I guess you could say that. He gently held my face, his lips brushing against my cheek, incredibly gentle. I owe you a honeymoon and a wedding. It's time we made time for that. Chapter 48. I and Julian Fairchild were the biggest winners of this public opinion storm. Within 10 days of its launch, his app's daily active users surpassed the current #1 short video app. And my short-form drama's popularity remained high, a mutually beneficial success. When I was invited to the Fairchild estate, I happened to run into Luna and her husband. Big brother, I was really wrong this time. Please help me. If you intervene, they will definitely give our Fairchild family face. Luna's eyes were red and swollen, and she no longer had the same air of confidence she had a few days ago. What was even more terrifying than last time was that this time, Luna had not only offended consumers, but had also tried to deceive the brands. Contracts were being terminated left and right, she was being vilified online, and even the sales of the products she promoted were affected. Due to the severity of the situation, she was even being investigated by the government. It was no longer a matter of playing the victim and feigning ignorance to get away with it. The breach of contract fines Luna was facing were no longer something she could pay off by scraping together some money. She was now facing multiple lawsuits, and if she couldn't settle out of court, She was looking at a minimum of 1 year in prison. These past few days, she had been begging everyone for help and had even called me over 100 times, all of which I had ignored. In the end, Julian was her last resort. You mean, you want me to spend nearly $100 million to bail you out with Leo and the others? Julian sat on the sofa, his expression indifferent, his gaze cool as he looked at Luna. What's in it for me? There's no business without profit. Julian didn't care about family ties. The only thing that could move him was profit. Luna hesitated, glanced around, and seeing that the maids were gone, she lowered her eyes and pulled down the strap of her camisole. A glimpse of cleavage. She must have planned this. She was only wearing a sexy black lace bra, her chest full and alluring. Big brother, actually, Aiden and I have never really had feelings for each other. I've admired you for years. If you don't mind, PFFD, I, who was standing outside the door, couldn't help but laugh. Luna was stunned. She quickly pulled her clothes back up and glared at me with rage. What are you doing here? Mr. Fairchild invited me. I calmly walked in from the half-open door and cleared my throat. Please, continue, or should I leave? No need. Julian clasped his hands together and looked Luna up and down as if he were inspecting a piece of merchandise. Your looks and figure are average at best. Your intelligence is non-existent. I'm not that desperate. Luna's face turned pale, the color draining from her lips. Big brother, Julian cut her off, stating a simple fact. If I were you, I'd be thinking about what leverage I have left, instead of foolishly thinking I can sell my body to get by. A flicker of hatred crossed Luna's eyes. She clenched her fists, and after weighing her options, she could only continue to beg. Big brother, I can make a comeback, if you just help me. It seems I was too subtle. Julian slowly stood up and looked down at the scheming Luna. You are of no value to me. Chapter 49. A few days later, news about the Azure smoke surfaced online. The rumored secretly married couple, who had been the subject of much online speculation, publicly announced on social media that they would not be starring in the drama. This act of building up and then dashing the hopes of netizens once again sparked public outrage. Damn it, are you playing with me? I'm boycotting this garbage production company. I'm not watching any of their dramas from now on. I actually looked it up. The biggest producer of this drama is the third young master of the Fairchild family. Aiden Fairchild. Isn't that Luna's husband? I'm laughing. So this couple is just trying to create buzz, right? Disgusting. I have a reasonable suspicion that this couple is just treating us like monkeys. And so, another round of cyberbullying was directed at Luna. While my best friend and I were auditioning actors for a high-quality drama, Luna and Aiden were also casting. Now you've ruined the drama, are you happy? Our Fairchild family spent a lot of money just to buy the IP. If we can't even break even, you can forget about me taking over the family business. Hass, I'll be lucky if my brother doesn't kick me out of the family. Aiden was very impatient. The Fairchild family invested in many dramas every year, but this year's big bet was on the Azure smoke. They had invested a lot from the beginning, just to buy the IP, and with all the preparations and set design over the past 2 years, it had all gone to waste in Aiden's hands. A good hand, played terribly. Why are you yelling at me? We're trying to find a solution, aren't we? It's all your fault. It's just 2 actors. You couldn't even negotiate with them. Luna's frustration from the past few days finally boiled over. That bitch could do it. Why are you so useless? She blurted out, unable to hold back any longer. Luna only ever saw my success, never my hard work. Luna, you're being unreasonable. Aiden's temper also flared. He pushed Luna hard and said harshly, if I had known you were so useless, I would have married Serena Sterling in the first place. He turned and walked away, leaving Luna to break down in tears. My best friend and I had a successful casting session. After choosing the actors, we were walking back to the car when someone grabbed me. Serena Sterling. Luna's eyes were filled with malice as she stared at me. It's all your fault, you're the one who leaked all that information. I want you dead. She lunged at me, trying to tear my hair, but my best friend, who was quick on her feet, stopped her. Luna, are you crazy? My best friend's roar attracted the attention of many fans who were visiting the set. Among them were die-hard fans of the secretly married couple, as well as netizens who had been scammed by Luna. Luna, is that Luna? It really is that damn Luna has the audacity to show her face. Not only did she spread rumors that our idol was going to be in the azure smoke, but she also treated me like a fool. She's not even that good looking. The live streams must have used a filter. She's ugly and loves to cause trouble. No, it wasn't me, Luna instinctively tried to explain, pointing at me. This woman framed me. It was all her. Before she could finish, the frenzied fans rushed forward. How dare you use our idol for clout? Disgusting. Luna, who are you calling brainless? I supported you so much in your live streams, and you treated me like an idiot. You damn slut, how dare you show your face? In the ensuing scuffle, Luna was surrounded and attacked. Her heavily made-up face was bruised, and her clothes were torn. If she hadn't been desperately trying to cover herself, she would have been exposed. Finally, the set security heard the commotion and intervened, putting an end to the brawl. But the video had already gone viral. This time, Luna had not only disgraced herself, but had also dragged the Fairchild family into the mess. Chapter 50. The next day, I went back to the Sterling house. I had originally planned to repay the Sterlings for raising me, but I walked into a huge drama instead. I'm not getting a divorce, Luna shouted. I looked around. Many people were there today. Even the old Mr. Fairchild was present, along with Julian, who sat on the side with a cold expression. Luna's face was still bruised. Although yesterday's incident had been classified as a group assault, the number of people involved was too large. And among the fans, there were some with powerful connections who had put pressure on the authorities, so the matter was dropped. Luna had to swallow her pride and didn't dare to escalate the situation. At this moment, Luna was clinging to Aiden's hand, tears streaming down her face. Aiden, I'm your wife. You can't divorce me. Everything I did was for you. I've sacrificed so much. If you divorce me, aren't you afraid of what people will say about you being heartless? If she hadn't mentioned it, it would have been fine. But now, Aiden's face turned green. He had originally planned to be a carefree playboy. Although he had no status, he was well-fed and had no worries. But then, Luna had to push him to climb the ladder. If she had succeeded, it would have been one thing. But now, she had caused a huge mess and had even alarmed his father, who had threatened to kick him out of the Fairchild family. Naturally, Aiden blamed everything on Luna. I'm heartless. Luna, haven't I been good to you? You wanted to do live streaming, and I supported you in every way. When you got into trouble before, I even sold my car to bail you out. And what's the result? You've caused bigger and bigger problems. Do you know what people are saying about our Fairchild family now? As Aiden spoke, he cautiously glanced at the old Mr. Fairchild and said in a low voice, People are saying our Fairchild family is blind for choosing a woman like you as a daughter-in-law. And they're also saying I'm a heartless person. Because of you, our Fairchild family has lost over 10 million, the stock price had fallen, and their reputation was damaged. 10 million was just a rough estimate. The rest couldn't be measured in money alone. Aiden, what do you mean you agreed to it in the beginning? You said you didn't want to be overshadowed by Julian your whole life, so? Smack, a hard slap landed on Luna's face. Luna was stunned, her eyes red, and large tears rolled down her cheeks. Aiden, I'll kill you, Luna lunged forward, but she was held back by the butler. What a disgrace, the old Mr. Fairchild snorted coldly, his sharp, icy gaze sweeping over the crowd. My adoptive mother came to her senses and quickly stopped Luna, her voice fawning. Mr. Fairchild, Luna is still a child. She was just too eager to succeed and caused some trouble. Once this blows over, it will be fine. That's fine too. Julian smiled faintly. As long as the Sterling family compensates the Fairchild family for all their losses, this matter will be dropped. My adoptive mother was stunned. How could she have that kind of money? They were still relying on the projects the Fairchilds had given them, and with all of Luna's breach of contract fines, they could only pray that the Fairchilds would help them out. They had no money to spare. Julian, why do you have to be so harsh? We're all family, my adoptive mother smiled weakly. It's fine, there's another option besides divorce. Julian offered another choice. My adoptive mother's eyes lit up. Before she could ask, Julian continued slowly. Either Aiden cuts all ties with the Fairchild family, and whatever his wife is like, whatever trouble she causes, it has nothing to do with us, Chapter 51. As soon as he spoke, Aiden's face turned pale. Big brother, I'll get a divorce. The live streaming was Luna's idea, and she was the one who insisted on creating buzz for the azure smoke. And And my other projects, she was the one who forced me to take them. You know, big brother, I don't have much ability. If it weren't for Luna's bad ideas, I would never have done those things. I watched this scene with some amusement. Sure enough, a married couple is like a flock of birds. When disaster strikes, they fly their separate ways. Aiden, when we got married, you said you would be good to me for the rest of my life. Luna was still not giving up, her eyes fixed on Aiden. Aiden was no longer afraid of offending her and said what was on his mind. Didn't you say you were the real Sterling heiress and that the Sterling family's fortune would be yours? That's why I married you. I didn't expect the Sterling family to be on the verge of bankruptcy, and you, the real heiress, are even worse than Serena Sterling. If I had married Serena Sterling back then, I would be the one enjoying a life of luxury now. Crash, a vase flew through the air. It hit Aiden squarely on the head, and blood started to flow. My head, big brother, Dad, I want to divorce this venomous woman. Aiden, how could I have been so blind to fall for a useless man like you? Luna's eyes were filled with hatred, as if she wanted to kill him. You're so useful, yet you've caused so much trouble. I don't know how long they argued, but finally, the old Mr. Fairchild couldn't take it anymore. Fearing that Aiden would die in the Sterling house, and it would be hard to explain, he finally intervened. Have you had enough? The old Mr. Fairchild snorted and ordered someone to take Aiden to have his wound treated. Luna was also sent upstairs. Tired of the drama, he left. As he passed me, his cloudy eyes swept over me, and he said in a low voice, "You've been standing here for so long. Why don't you come in and sit down?" I smiled politely, a little helpless. I'm not really a Sterling, so I thought I should stay out of it. The old Mr. Fairchild said no more and slowly got into his car, and my adoptive parents had also noticed me. As if they had seen a big sucker, they immediately asked me for money. "Serena Sterling, how much money do you have? Give it all to us." This was within my expectations. They hadn't asked me before because they thought my little short-form drama wasn't profitable. But now, with all the buzz online, they had naturally heard a lot. I've made a little money, but it's the company's money, not my personal funds. I explained perfunctorily. As expected, my adoptive mother didn't buy it. She looked at me coldly. "Don't give me that. We've spent a lot of money, raising you all these years. Now that you're successful, you don't even think to help your family." I took a card from my bag and handed it to her. "There are $2 million in this card. I've roughly calculated the cost of my upbringing by the Sterling family, and it's about this much. Now I'm giving it all back to you. Thank you for raising me," but I paused and smiled at her. "From now on, I, Serena Sterling, will not rely on the Sterling family. I will be on my own. No longer having to study for the sake of the Sterling family, no longer a tool for them. Just simply myself." "What do you mean? Are you planning to disown your family? Aren't you afraid of what people will say about you online?" My adoptive mother became more and more unreasonable. "When we found out you weren't our biological daughter, we didn't abandon you. We raised you. Serena Sterling, without us, you'd be no better than a stray dog on the street." "Mrs. Sterling, your words are quite crude." Julian, who had been watching from the side for a long time, finally spoke, his tone cold. $2 million is not a small amount. I advise you, Mrs. Sterling, to know when to stop." His words, with their underlying threat, immediately silenced my adoptive mother. I looked at Julian in surprise. He, however, was as calm as ever. "There's a celebration banquet at 3 this afternoon. You're coming with me." "All right." He had just helped me out, and I would remember this favor. I got into Julian's car, and Ethan's call came in. "Who is it?" Unexpectedly, Julian asked. I answered truthfully, "My husband." "Tusk." Julian turned his head. After a long time, I heard a cold voice. What a coincidence. Chapter 52. A few days later, Julian ripped me off. "This is the final offer. The Fairchilds will not budge." Julian slowly handed me the new contract, looking every bit the cunning businessman. "Miss Sterling, don't forget who helped you out at the Sterling house not long ago, and who drove you all the way home." I knew it. This man helping me was never a good sign. Maintaining my smile, I said, "Fine, I'll sign the contract." After finalizing the contract, I turned to leave. Ethan was already waiting downstairs. Today, he was wearing a clean white shirt. He stood by the car, on the phone, his profile exceptionally handsome. In a daze, I seemed to see him as a young man again. Tall and slender, he stood out in a crowd. Teenage boys and girls are always prone to teasing. After our engagement was revealed, he was teased by some of the boys in his class. Are you really going through with it? Aren't you afraid you'll regret it later? The young man twisted the cap off his water bottle and tilted his head back slightly, his Adam's apple prominent. The sunlight streamed in, and his cool, clear voice followed. I'm afraid she'll choose someone else. In the ignorance of youth, I had long since forgotten this seemingly casual remark. So much so that in my past life, when I told him I was marrying Aiden, the man's dark, deep eyes had darkened even more. After a long time, he had just said 2 words. Congratulations. I don't know how Ethan got through the years that followed. I only remember Luna's constant complaints whenever she came home. She said Ethan was emotionless, that he hadn't touched her in months of marriage, and that he spent all his time in that hot, stuffy garage. She talked about his dead heart, his lack of ambition, and his incompetence. But the Ethan I knew was never like that. Even in the mud, he was still dazzlingly brilliant. What are you thinking about? Ethan had hung up the phone at some point and was now standing beside me. I smiled faintly at him. Just a random thought. If it wasn't me you married, what would you have done? Ethan was silent for a moment. I would have lived a life of quiet desperation and prayed that I would meet you again in the next life. I was stunned. Perhaps. That was exactly what Ethan had chosen in his past life. They say that when a person's obsession is deep enough, they may be granted a second chance. My rebirth, perhaps, was what Ethan had prayed for his entire life. Chapter 53. The next time I heard about Luna was on a short video app. She was secretly filmed at the hospital, and when she was leaving in a hurry, she was bumped into, and the test results in her arms fell out. HPV. Ha, this woman finally got what she deserved. Serves her right. She's not careful, who knows what she does in private. As expected of a rich lady, her life is so different from ours. My feelings were complicated. Aiden never used protection, so it was only a matter of time before he caught something. I had warned Luna, but she hadn't listened. This was her own doing. One night, there was a commotion outside. I groggily woke up from Ethan's embrace. The old door was being pounded on. Ethan also frowned, his voice hoarse with sleep. I'll go see. I turned over, but I was worried and followed him. As soon as the door opened, a disheveled Luna stood outside. She was holding a fruit knife and lunged at me without a second thought. Go to hell, Serena Sterling. My drowsiness vanished in an instant, but I saw Ethan step in front of me. Chapter 54. At the police station. Luna was handcuffed, her eyes vacant as she stared at me. I just wasn't willing to accept it. Her eyes were filled with jealousy, her voice sharp. I was the real Sterling heiress. Why was I switched at birth, letting you enjoy such a good life? In this new life, I just wanted Aiden to take over the Fairchild family and for me to live a better life. Why could you do it in your past life, but I couldn't? Why are all your choices right, and all of mine wrong? Are you just born with a silver spoon in your mouth, and I'm destined to suffer? I lowered my gaze, a slight smile on my face. From the age of 5, my adoptive parents knew I wasn't their biological daughter. From then on, they desperately searched for the missing Luna, and my food and clothing were worse than the servants. A good life? They were just raising me to be a bargaining chip for a future marriage alliance. As for Aiden, I had been married to him for less than a year and had caught him cheating over 100 times. I had even almost contracted HPV myself. If I hadn't been ruthless enough and had a good eye for business, I would never have been able to prop up that fool and secure my freedom. The good life Luna spoke of was all earned through my own hard work. I deserved it. You could have had a good life. I looked at Luna, my expression calm. You chose Aiden. There was no love, but your life would have been better than most. You were too greedy and unrepentant. What right do you have to say that to me? Was I wrong? She screamed at me, her voice breaking. I shook my head and stood up to leave. Intentional assault, and with the unpaid breach of contract fines and multiple lawsuits, she would be in prison for a while. I went back to the hospital. Ethan's wound had already been dressed. The hospital was quiet at 3 or 4 in the morning. He was sitting in a corner, looking up at the IV drip. I walked over to him slowly. Did you give your statement? Yes. I nodded and sat down beside him, my eyes fixed on his bandaged hand. It doesn't hurt anymore. Ethan comforted me. A fire was burning inside me, but I didn't dare to vent it on him. I just asked coldly, do you know what you do for a living? I fix cars, Ethan answered honestly. The fire inside me flared up again. I suppressed it and stared at him, saying each word slowly. You're a race car driver. If your hand is injured, your career is over. I'm not an idiot. I would have dodged the knife. I wouldn't have died, at most I would have been injured. But I couldn't bear it. Ethan's one sentence completely extinguished my anger. The corner was dimly lit. He just lowered his gaze, his dark eyes looking at me. His chiseled face was even more striking. My heart was pounding. Did you ever think about yourself? Ethan shook his head honestly, his gaze suddenly deepening. Serena, I once had a dream countless times. What? The topic changed so quickly that I couldn't react. Ethan, I dreamt that you were on the endless sea, that you were pushed off and I was powerless to help. Every time I woke up, I told myself that no matter what danger, even if it meant death, I would stand in front of you. He looked at me, as if trying to determine if it was real or a dream. He had experienced that pain too many times in his dreams. It was so real, as if it had actually happened. So before that dagger came at him, he couldn't think. He just wanted his Serena Sterling to be safe. I opened my mouth, my heart aching, as if it were being filled with something. I leaned in and carefully hugged him. I'm not going to die. It was just a dream. It was just a dream that happened in my past life. Ethan grunted in agreement, his chin gently rubbing against my hair, his voice very soft. I'll be fine too, don't worry. I can support you anyway. I looked up at him from his embrace. Ethan, why do you like me so much? My voice was slightly teasing, with a hint of coquettishness. Ethan's expression softened instantly. That's a secret. Do you really want to know? I nodded. After a long time, he said, There's no reason. I guess I just realized that seeing you makes me happy. I spent many years trying to figure it out, and the conclusion is always the same. Serena Sterling, no matter how many people come and go, you are the only one who is special. Then I'll tell you a secret too. My eyes curved into a smile. Ethan leaned in. Ethan, I'm so glad it's you this time. Chapter 55. Luna was sentenced to 5 years. That day, my adoptive parents and I completely cut ties. When I got back from the courthouse, Ethan was at home, packing with one hand. Don't you know your hand is still injured? I quickly took the box from him, my tone sharp. He stopped what he was doing, his cool, deep-set eyes lifting, a faint smile on his lips. Are you worried about me? I was silent for a moment, then I admitted it. Yes, I'm worried about you. But this man was becoming more and more reckless. He wrapped his arm around my waist and pressed me onto the sofa. The box in my arms fell and its contents spilled out. Ethan, we're moving. One last time here. Ethan's warm breath brushed past my ear. Serena, my hand is weak, you do it. Chapter 56. Ethan and I moved. The new place was in a good location, with Leo living in the building next door. After we moved, I still didn't have time to go on a honeymoon with Ethan. The short-form drama was still very popular, and in just a few months, I had started my own company and was incredibly busy. The overseas market for short-form dramas was expanding, and I had invested in it. I selected a few high-quality historical dramas and promoted Chinese culture abroad. In my past life, I had been a live streamer, choosing high-quality, affordable products for my viewers, saving them time and money. This time, I had given up live streaming and was in the short-form drama industry. Besides making money, I hoped to use my abilities to contribute to my country. Julian had also re-signed a contract with me, and to prevent his big project from losing money, he had even handed me the Azure Smoke. The price is negotiable. With your skills, making this drama a hit won't be difficult. It was difficult, especially with all the trouble Luna had caused, but Julian's offer was too good to refuse. Near the end of the year, I went to see Luna. She had had a rough few months, and her eyes were lifeless. I heard you started a company and made a lot of money. She looked at me, the boundless hatred gone. I nodded. Not much. A few tens of millions at least, but I had just invested in the company, so I hadn't actually pocketed much. During this time, my adoptive parents had tried to contact me a few times, but Ethan had always turned them away. They had also tried to cause trouble, but Julian had warned them. Now that his interests were tied to mine, if anything happened to me, he would be ready to go to the Sterling house with a knife. What about Ethan? Luna asked again. He just finished a race and won some prize money. He'll probably retire soon and just be a shareholder in the clubhouse. I answered truthfully. Ethan wasn't getting any younger, and the clubhouse was doing well. He and that guy from the Gu family had invested from the beginning, and their annual income was substantial. In his free time, he would modify cars for a few of his rich friends, so he didn't have to work as hard as before. He has a clubhouse too. Luna's eyes were vacant, and then she smiled. So, it wasn't that he was emotionless. It was just that the person he liked wasn't me. I was wrong from the beginning. I shouldn't have chosen Ethan, and I shouldn't have gotten married. She muttered to herself, stood up numbly, and as she laughed, tears streamed down her face. I looked at her and sighed. She had brought this upon herself. I didn't feel sorry for her. After all, the Serena Sterling of the past had died at her hands. Outside the prison, the sun was shining. Ethan was sitting on a bench, and the warm winter sun outlined his handsome figure. I ran over and hugged my sunshine with a smile. Chapter 57. Ethan's Perspective Past Life. I had a fiancé. She was a Sterling. She liked sweet and sour pork ribs and had a gentle disposition. I thought I would inherit the family business and marry her, as planned. But then, my family went bankrupt and the Sterlings took her away from me. I had to bear the burden of everything, doing the hardest work. Racing. Modifying cars for those rich kids. At 27, I had saved some money. The Sterlings brought up the engagement again. She walked up to me, her expression as gentle as I remembered. "I'm marrying Aiden Fairchild." I looked at her silently. "Is it what you want?" She nodded. The Fairchilds are a good choice. She had her own dreams to achieve, and perhaps the Fairchilds were her best option. "Okay," I heard my own hoarse voice. "Congratulations." As per the agreement from the previous generation, I married a Sterling girl to give the deceased elders some closure. After being raised by them for over 20 years, some things were just a duty to me. I continued to live as I had before, but I preferred to stay at the garage. The second year after that, she died. Her body was lost in the vast ocean. On that rainy day, I looked at her black and white photo from afar, my eyes stinging. I regretted it. Serena Sterling. I regretted it. If I had known this would be the outcome, I would have fought for you, no matter the cost. Even if you resented me, even if you hated me, it would have been better than this. Separated by death. They say that heaven takes pity on the suffering. I have lived a life of kindness and virtue. In my youth, I lost my parents. Before I was 30, I lost the love of my life. In the years to come, I will pray every day with a sincere heart. I only wish for a next life. I don't ask for love, but I pray that my love will live a long and happy life.